little step.
So how much more money do I owe you?
This little puny bumper. And I ain't gonna cut it. This thing's finally starting to look like something.
1934 Buick.
It looks perfect.
I'll tell her we're cutting this up.
We'll take this original engine out, put a late model Chevy in it.
We're gonna piss some people off.
We're gonna show it the respect it deserves.
Get some shocks in here.
He wants this thing to be able to drop on the ground also.
Holy shit, that's beautiful. And it's not yellow.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
That's them, huh?
That's it, man.
8-inch springs.
Yes, sir.
That's what we need.
It's perfect.
It's going to put this thing in the perfect ride height.
That's way
Let's
better
go ahead and
than
get these things underneath here. Get little one. Let's knock this thing out. Let's get it bolted up. Everything is extra large on this 1996 International dump truck. It's one of the biggest builds we've ever done size-wise.
All right, let's go.
We have these leaf springs arched an extra 8 inches. You know, it's not every day we get to convert a huge old work truck into a show-quality, flatbed, militaristic truck. But man, when we're done, there's not going to be another one like it.
That was kind of difficult.
That was a little difficult. You ready for the next one?
Hey, yeah, let's do it real quick. I know that look.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to do to the dump truck. A lot. I mean, rear suspension, parallel 4-link with the big, huge triple convoluted bags.
You do the whole rear end, hangers, 4-link, bag mounts, shock mount. It'll take twice as long to do the back of that truck.
Twice as long to do everything on the truck. Build the bumper, paint the thing, the whole interior.
Wasn't the engine really messed up?
Yes, that reminds me too. I put a call in with the one-way diesel guys. They're coming down, and they're going to tidy up the engine compartment and get this thing running good. At least we're getting a custom-made bed for it. It's going to be really cool. Front suspension's done, but, you know, everything's taking so much longer. Everything's bigger, heavier than we're normally working with.
I had a feeling you're fixing to tell me like you need it tomorrow or something.
We got a little time on it, but it's getting way, way behind for sure. Ready to go get after it?
Well, let's go.
Let's go do it, man. We already tore the bed off, made and installed the hangers. Now we can get going on the rear suspension. We got a super huge truck, so we need some super huge bag mount. You know, we usually use 3/16 D plates for the bag mounts, but on this one, we're gonna make bigger, thicker circle plates out of 5/16. This is the foundation of everything. This is gonna support every bit of the truck's weight, so this thing needs to be super strong. Then we'll have our spacer to simulate the bag when it's at ride height. Gonna mount that up underneath the frame. Where they're gonna be, and this thing looks so beefy in the back. I want to continue the bag mounts to look beefy too. So I want something just mean looking, right?
Hell yeah.
So I think we ought to come right off the axle up to the bag mount, and then all the way across to the other bag mount, and then down to the axle.
Okay.
Just with 2.
We got it.
We'll just bend it. We're not going to roll it or anything because it's a boxy truck, so we'll continue with just square bends. It's still going to look really cool and be really strong. Looking good, man. We got the diagonal link, got the 4-link, got the bag mounts. You know, one more step.
Shock time.
That's it. We need a bottomed out measurement of our shock. So that's why we made a quick jig. Makes it super easy to duplicate. You know, with the really large size of this truck, you know, it's going to need some good dampening shocks, especially with the big triple bellow bag. You want something that's going to control the bounciness. I mean, that's basically what a shock does. It controls the rebound of the suspension. You know, sometimes it just looks like we throw a shock in place. Oh, building suspensions, placing shocks, you learn what to do and what not to do, and you improve each and every time. Every vehicle is a little different as far as weight, the angle of the shock, how stiff the shock is, relating to the weight of the vehicle, to what type of suspension, how long the suspension bars are. I mean, there's variables on everything. You know, we got some good stiff shocks at the proper angle. This thing's gonna ride really, really good.
Hey, man, what's going on?
A good trip for you?
Oh, absolutely. Great roads all the way up to Houston from Oklahoma.
Man, I sure appreciate you coming down.
I think we may have built exactly what you need for this build.
Cool, man. Let's check it out. A lot of times, we just build the new truck beds. But interest of time, I designed one that Billy made just for this truck. Man, first thing you notice is that big wheel well.
Exactly. I hope you got a big enough tire to fit this.
Definitely.
I'll tell you, man, when I saw the drawings, I was concerned, but I know you, it's all good. Got your gooseneck hitch, your receiver hitch built in, so be able to tow and haul with that big rig.
Yeah, this thing's cool. You know, this isn't off the shelf.
It's not off the shelf, I'll assure you. Certainly.
Get off and get it on the truck. How much does this thing weigh, you think?
I don't know. I hadn't built it before.
What's going on, man?
Man, I need your help, buddy. This truck is just big, mean, huge lip, big tires. This little puny bumper.
Man, that ain't gonna cut it.
I want to leave the holes, the hooks, the bumper mounts, everything here.
Okay.
So all I'll have to do is split it right here, straight down here, and then straight across.
We'll just carry that all the way across.
We'll split it like that, and then all I have to do is add 8 inches in the middle. Put it all right back together.
I'm gonna go ahead and section it in the middle. We'll have a much more aggressive bumper that's gonna look perfect on this truck. Alright, so I got my filler piece now to go ahead and connect my bottom of the bumper to the top of the bumper where I section it. If I fit this properly, I won't have any issues down the road when I'm going to weld all this together. Because if it's not lined up, I'll be fighting the metal the whole time I'm welding it. Alright, so I got my centerpiece in. I'm gonna go ahead and start tacking the edges right here to make it a perfect fit. Okay, so I got the bumper looking pretty good, the 8-inch section in there. I'm really happy with the way it fit. So the next thing to do is go ahead and put the side pieces on. You just gotta do it by eye. I like that fancy footwork. It's pretty close. So I'm gonna go ahead and tack it in. So everything looks pretty good. Everything's welded solid. The next step is go ahead and mount it up to the truck and see how it looks.
The owner, John, wants a really unique truck. You know, one that can win trophies, but also get to work. So we're gonna add a winch behind the bumper. With something this size, you never know when you're gonna need one.
Okay, so now that I got the bumper mounted on here in section, everything's good on it. I'm gonna go ahead and start mounting my winch. Try to get the winch centered up somewhat behind the bumper. So first thing is to do is go ahead and start building the brackets and go ahead and mount the winch. Man, that's perfect.
Get this over to Rudy, get it burned out, and get it on the truck.
Winch bracket, I'm gonna go ahead and stick in the brake and put a 90-degree brake on it. Once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and bring it to the truck and fit it up. Now that I got my winch bracket bolted to my winch, so I'm going to go ahead and put some tack welds on it. Then I'll go ahead and put my bumper on it and check my clearance. So this is pretty much a slide for the cable. Basically, we're trying to center this up with the winch. So we don't want it too high, we don't want it too low. We want it to be centered so when it winds up or unwinds, that it's not in a bind. So it's pretty important to get this pretty close to the center of the winch, the drum, and then it'll be right. I overcut it just a little bit so the winch cable doesn't fray or catch on the metal. Pretty happy with it. Looks good. Looks right where it needs to be. So he'll be able to help people out or help himself out in a bind.
The overall look of this 1996 International dump truck is so now it's 9 feet long, which is about 3 feet shorter than it was. 9 foot, 109 inches. We're cutting the frame and boxing it in so it'll look like it came from the factory like this. And it'll be just as strong.
Close this gap up.
You know, in the early days of a big build like this, it can be hard to see how we're going to turn the old dump truck into a mean military-looking truck. But you got to keep the faith and just make it happen bit by bit. You know, when a custom car guy and an antique come together, that's just a combination to make something really cool and over the top. You know, Javier's in a lowrider club. He's got to show up and show off. He's got to keep his rep up. We built a ton of cars for Javier, like this 46 Chevy right here. And anytime he calls, we're happy to help.
Hey, Bill. How's it going, man? Good to see you.
Hey, real good. Good to see you.
Man.
Good to see you. Man, your cars are looking good.
Oh, man, thanks. Remember this one?
Yeah, that thing's still looking good, too.
And you did a great job on that. I'm a welder by trade, and I know his welds are perfect. Funny to say that, but
Before you know.
and you've done 3 for me. I've got one more for you, though.
Let's go check it out.
Let's go.
Man, that's a good-looking car.
1934 Buick.
This thing's like new.
80 years old. I found it in North Carolina. Guy had it in the garage for years.
This thing was top of the line back in the day. You don't find many 1934 Buick Model 57s looking this original, this clean. Well, what do you want to do to this? I mean, it looks perfect.
You know, Bill, I like driving. And right now, I can't drive this thing. The car's not reliable. It overheats. So I want to be able to go where I want to go and not have any problems at all.
So what's under the hood now?
It's straight A. You want to look at it?
Wow, this thing is cool.
Pretty old, isn't it?
Straight 8, you don't see that a lot.
No.
So you want to take this original car, take this original engine out, and replace it with something else.
Bill, that's what I want to do.
This is one of the very few times that I'm a little hesitant about taking this car apart.
We're going to piss some people off.
Definitely. Some people are going to be mad.
You know, a lot of people don't like changing parts. They like to keep cars all original, but I like driving them. So
Original engine out, put a late model Chevy in it. That way you got your reliability, fuel economy, power, something you can just get in and drive wherever.
that's what I want, Bill.
That's what you're going to get. If we're already going that far with this thing, we might as well put some air suspension on this thing and get it down really low. I know how you and your boys like to ride low.
We roll fast, but we also roll low.
Gotta lower it.
You got to lower it.
You know, to even get this thing a little lower, we'll put a little bit lower profile tire and take these wheels and change the color. Just make it stand out a little more.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's got to be it. We can't chop the top or cut the interior out or paint it a different color or anything. I mean, we're already committing blasphemy with the Buick people. You ready to piss some people off?
That's why I called you, Bill.
Man, bringing a car in this old, this original, this cool, it's a shame just to do anything to it other than wash it. And we're just going to tear it all apart. I have my reservations, but I'm glad it's here. I'm glad it's us that's going to get our hands on it. We're going to show it the respect it deserves. And, you know, this car is so original. There's nothing been done to it. So we're going to be the first ones to do that. all our parts and pieces that we're going to build are going to make sure the car is done perfect.
Didn't you guys have one of these when you were little? Brand new?
Man, first gotta wash this thing, clean it up a little bit, a little maintenance, right?
Customer's got a different idea on that one.
Don't tell me we're cutting this up.
That's what he wants, man. The problem with this thing is the straight 8 in it is just not reliable for him. He wants something he can just get in, turn the key, start it up, cruise wherever he wants to go, and not have to worry about all the issues that come with the old technology here. So what we're going to do is pull this out, put a late model LS in it, something he can just get in it, hit the key, and go wherever he wants, not have to worry about overheating or anything. We're going to replace the rear end, give him something a little more of a strength to it, man. This one definitely won't hold up to the power LS puts out. New drive line, the whole new running gear, disc brakes, front and back. He wants this thing to be able to drop on the ground also. So we got to replace the straight axle in the front of this thing, replace it with independent front suspension and air suspension on top of that. So when he gets where he's going, drop this thing on the ground.
Hell yeah.
Man, you really don't have any issue cutting this thing up, huh?
If it ain't cut, it ain't custom.
I hear you, man, but we want to give it a little extensive style. Something maybe like a coil pack cover to maybe go with the styling of the car.
It'll make not as many people hate us for putting an LS on this thing.
It doesn't matter what we do. They're going to hate us for pulling this one out. Let's get this thing up on the rack, start tearing it apart.
Cool.
First things first, the little one's got to rip out the old suspension and then the motor.
Man, it's crazy this old car has a gearbox style mechanism on the top of it. Usually they just have a bushing and a straight bolt, but since this is definitely not a gearbox, it's more than likely something with gears and oil. Man, they were smart back then. Everything's pretty much off the bottom. Now we can go ahead and just get this grill off, and then we can pull the engine out. Whew, that was heavier than I thought. Man, dude, look at all those springs.
And they don't really make them like this anymore, do they?
Nah, they don't at all. Here, let's get this on so we can get this motor out of here.
All right. Back it up.
It was like a Cummins engine, it's so huge.
I don't think I've ever seen one like it, man.
I wonder if Al Capone used this car.
Probably not, man. We don't see any bullet holes in this engine.
Designing the suspension on this old school Buick definitely has some challenges. None of our off-the-shelf parts are going to work, so Ryan's got to get busy by making all custom parts.
We're going to start now with making the mounts for the 2 links. As you can see, what we get to work with here, we would typically just make our own cross member, but with the structure and everything that's going on here, I don't think it's necessary. We can reinforce this and build the brackets off of this, and it will work just as well, and it will look great. That's perfect. Taking my templates over to Rudy so you can burn them out. Hey, dude.
What's up?
Is that quarter? That's quarter.
That's quarter.
I was going to have you cut 2 of these out for me so I could just cut this while you were doing that, but since that's quarter, I'm just going to make you cut all of them out for me. I know you're not doing anything over here.
That's what I'm here for, right?
Appreciate you.
Once I get all my curves and lines figured out, I'll trim everything up, transfer it over into the program, cut Ryan's pieces out, clean them up, take them over to him.
Alright, so after I get my pieces cleaned off, get all the slag chipped off of these, I'll take the template and mark the lines where I need a bend. I'll use that other little template that I made. I'll take it over to the big break and I'll just slowly bend it until I get the right radius that I want. Everything we do is trial and error. I'd like to get it on the first time, but I don't always work out that way. Cut that out with the plasma cutter. And tack it in. All right, so we got the plates welded into the frame, stiffen it up. Also gave us a mounting point for our 2-link tabs. The tabs basically will weld to the frame, and this is going to be your mounting point. This is your pivot point here. So this is where it's going to connect to the rear end. We'll start here and move our way to these other cars are built and just so rigid. It's a really rough ride. This would be like night and day difference. It would be riding on a cloud versus riding in a wagon barrel down a gravel road, you know? So I think what we're doing here is a little better.
Dang, man.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, man.
This thing is rough, dude.
The diesel in this dump truck came to us in rough shape. There was a lot of creative fixes and even garden hose under the hood. John, the owner, wants to keep this engine and make it reliable, so I asked the Wells family to come on in and get this thing running right.
Bro wasn't lying, was he?
No, I can see why they call it the dump truck.
This thing is terrible, man. Got some electrical tape there.
On a fuel hose? That's a hazard just waiting to happen.
Yeah, we've got our work cut out for us, man. First things first, let's get this big honking piece of trash off here. Let's clean that up with a newer, updated intake.
Help it breathe a little more?
Yeah, get a little more power out of it. We need to change out all the radiator hoses, get all this stuff cleaned up. Watch out. You'll give it a little more appeal under the hood.
That insulation is not going to work. We're going to have to rip that out. We'll probably have to do something about the heat, so we'll heat wrap this sound pipe. What we have here is exhaust wrap. Just a firewall, getting your feet nice and hot. It also helps clean up your engine bay and make it look a lot nicer. All right, now we got all the ugliness out of it. It's time to start cleaning her up and moving forward. What we have here is a K&N air filter. They are really good about airflow. They allow air to get in and keep the most dirt and grime out of the engine. She's a lot better than she was.
That's right, bro. Let's get the hose on there. Last thing we gotta get taken care of, the safety hazard of this wiring.
Yeah, I'd hate for something bad to happen there.
These wires, when they're bunched together, can cause a break in the circuit and them to short out. The short, it can create a spark, and right here by the fuel system, it's a terrible thing to happen. So I'm gonna trim this off, put us a butt connector in here, a heat shrink one, so we can keep this sealed off from the elements. Move the wiring and take the slack out in other places so it's a smoother transition from here to main harness. And then get it all nice and zip tied out of the way so it doesn't look like trash. Well, that's it, man. I think we got it all.
We ended up having to do a few extra things to it, but I think it was well worth it. No, it's not going to catch on fire.
It looks 10 times better, a lot safer. It's ready to go, man.
School bus yellow isn't going to cut it on the dump truck. It needs a big color change to give it that militaristic, overall mean look.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good, man. I got the color for the old dump truck. A metallic gun barrel gray is really going to be the way to go on this. Not just that, but I think I want to go with the two-tone.
Two-tone?
Black bed, black running boards, and the very, very roof I want all black also.
Damn, it's going to look enojado.
What's that?
Real mean. Real mean.
That's it, right, buddy. Do it to it.
Got it.
I want something on this truck that's really going to stand the test of time. I don't want Army green. I don't want the Desert Storm tan. The gunmetal gray is definitely going to make this thing look really cool, give it an aggressive look, and still be custom. John, the client, said he wanted this international dump truck to be unique. We're definitely heading in that direction. Now it's time for the custom flatbed.
Next project is getting this thing on the truck, which is not going to be an easy task because it's got such a long bed in the back, we can't pick it up from the rails.
You got to spend extra time to do every little step. You know, just picking the bed up is just one more example of how much work goes into something like this. We're about to see if it'll work.
Gunmetal gray, the black, it's just going to tie together perfectly.
Ready?
Yeah.
We'll bolt it down from there.
Go down.
This is a big ass bed. This thing's finally starting to look like something.
It definitely gave it the industrial look that he was looking for.
Right? Definitely no more school bus now. This thing looks mean. Man, it's a good day. We'll get the rest of this thing tomorrow, mount this bed, start building the running boards on this thing. Good night. This truck's so tall, we're going to need some extra steps going in. So we're going to make some running boards / steps, and I'd like to make it one solid piece. The problem with that is the cab's 7 foot long, and our equipment's running boards out of 2 pieces. It just takes extra time to get everything 100%, and this truck flexes a lot, so over time it wouldn't line up as if it would if it was one piece. I'm gonna go see my old buddy Ernest at Diamond Sheet Metal. He always helps us out. I've known Ernest since I was a kid. He's one of the Northside experts I can always count on.
What we got going on?
Man, I'm working on Old International. Thing's way off the ground. It's a huge truck.
Way off the ground, all right.
So I need some running boards / steps integrated in it.
Okay.
I need 2 pieces, 7 foot at a 14 gauge.
We can break it up to 12 foot. 10 foot, whatever you need.
Well, I only need 7. I know you got the big brakes, the big shears. So whenever I can't do it, I come see you.
We can have it.
Well, thank you, man.
All right.
Give me a call, man, when you got it.
I'll do it, man. Take care. When Bill shows up in my shop, I know it's something I got to hurry up and do, so I usually stop, produce whatever he wants. Back in the 70s, that's how long I've been knowing Bill. He used to lower bikes, stuff like that, and I knew he had a great future in it because if he can do it with a bicycle, he can do it with a car. We're making all these marks, they got to be right on the money. These are where the brakes are going to be. If you don't mark them off right, we got to start all over. We got to mark here with a circle, it's going to be bent up. No circle, it's going to be bent on the other side, bent down. If you don't bend these things right, all the money and material is wasted.
The undercarriage of this old school Buick is structurally different from most of the vehicles we work on. They just don't make them like this anymore.
You know, there's not a whole bunch to the rear of these cars. It's real thin sheet metal and a lot of wood, so we don't have a lot to work off of, and I don't want to just weld straight to the frame rail because they're like 10 gauge. It's real thin. So I'm making a foundation basically to be able to, build my rear suspension off of. What this is going to do is act as part of my frame. We'll get some back brackets on there, some shocks, diagonal link, and we'll have a brand new suspension on the rear of this car. That's it. Let's do some shocks. Let's get some shocks in here. With the way that I'm putting the shock and where it's going to be placed, I just want a bag that's never going to hit it. Even though we do a bunch of air suspension here, every application is different for the most part. The concept is the same, but actual building it and getting into it and making it functional and making it work and the geometry and staying the same, it's all different. That's what keeps this job, interesting and makes it fun to come to work every day because it's not that repetitive, same old, every single day. But it's done back here and now we get to move on to the front. Got the lower control arm bolted up and the spindle bolted up. As you can see where the frame comes and where my lower control arm is, there's no room for a bag, there's no room for anything. So just like everything else, we're gonna have to make it work. Decompress with no air in the bag is gonna be 3 inches, right? I'll take this 3-inch block, describe a line all the way across. Judging by the looks of this right here, my tie rod's gonna be somewhere in this area here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just cut what we need with the plasma, make a plate to fill it. For the most part, I got everything cut out. Right now, I'm gonna get some 4-inch flat block to make my fill piece here. fit. Everything is going to be built off of this plate right here for our upper bag bracket. So this is critical in making sure that this is fit up properly and welded in properly. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to trim it back, get a nice fit up, get it tacked in, then we'll weld it off. And whenever you're welding, you want to get a nice weld, a nice fuse. You want to go from metal to metal. You don't ever want it to overlap completely and then just weld the outside. It's not going to get anything in there. It's not fusing anything. What I'm looking for on this is just trying to match the same radius here. Just I want that same roll all the way through so it looks like nothing was ever touched. It looks like it came like that. So just start on the flat spots first. I like to knock it down and make sure it's flat and then start rolling. So once I get it kind of close, I'll come back with the flat disc and then clean it up and get rid of most of these lines. Hit it with a DA or a wire wheel. I mean, that's pretty much it. I've been liking it. Looks real nice. We got work to do, man.
Ryan's putting together the last little bits of the front suspension on the old school Buick.
So this is exactly where it's going to be right here. Now everything's in place. I can just attach to the top of the frame, get that tacked in there, throw a shock mount on here, and drop our motor in here pretty soon.
Yes, sir. Man, I get it. I totally know what you're talking about. You know what we can do? We can just pause on it, let you think about that. Once you think about it, let me know. We'll get back on it. All right.
Just the person I'm looking for.
Man, I just got off the phone with Javier, with the Buick. He's not real sure of what engine he wants to put in it, so he wants to put that thing on pause for a minute. The customer needs some time to make the right decisions on the right engine, so we're going to give that to him. I get it, man. He wants to think about exactly what he wants. We don't want to give him nothing that he's not 100% sure about. The extra time always takes a toll on the bottom line, but that's what we're doing to make it right. Trust me, this thing will be perfect when it's finished. Cut a piece 32 and 3. Don't chop it on top of the panel board. It was a working dump truck, so the interior left a lot to be desired. Just tape it to it. You definitely can't have that, so John's gonna make it right.
We're building a big, badass dump truck, so we got to get something that's going to be utilitarian and follow along in design and keep up with the beating around this truck's going to get. So we're going to make some really cool door panels. The idea that we have here is we're going to make a metal kick plate. That way it's good and rugged for climbing in and out. You kick it with your boots, whatever, it's good to go. This is kind of the fun part to me, the creative part. You get in here, you get to lay this out, really actually bring your idea into fruition. With this truck, it's big, it's boxy, it's a beast coming down the road. So you open the door, you want to kind of have that same idea. It just needs to say, I'm ready to work. Next thing I'm going to do, start cutting this apart, and we'll transfer it onto the base panels, and we'll get it foamed up. Here's my foam. Time to get busy. Like I hadn't been busy already. Alright, now I'm just going to trace this out. When you're cutting this foam down, if you put any kind of lean in it, and it will show up in the end, or it's tougher to have to sand out. So just kind of work keeping that blade straight up and down. We're actually going to put a beveled edge around this, and that way when it comes up, it'll dip down into the insert panel, up both sides. So just cool little detail. Get all that thing beveled back, and once that's done, we put another layer over it. I'm going to wrap the doors in marine vinyl while Jamie's cutting out the steel for the kick plates.
This is going to look really good on the door panels that John's doing. I went ahead and cut this out of 18 gauge steel, just sheared it. Now I'm going to cut it to the right size. Go ahead and prep the material, and I'll bring it back to it. All right, looks good. I'm happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and bring John, go ahead and do a test fit real quick and go from there.
See how she fits. Cool, man. Perfect fit.
Cool, well, let me go knock out the Mother 3.
Can't wait to get over to the body shop and let them get this thing painted, get this door panel together. It'll look pretty cool.
It's gonna look nice. Panel harness did really, really good. I mean, all the angles look exactly perfect, exactly what I wanted. So next step is just get this up here and start shaping it. Hey, pretty soon we'll have a running board.
Put your hand out there.
So about 5 inches.
And we made it a little bit too long so we could shrink it down, cut a little here, a little there, make this thing fit perfect. From the front fender well all the way to the bed. Man, that's a big difference. That's nice. It's gonna make it real easy to get right on up in here. Next step is just shaping it perfect to the fender itself. Pretty cool little trick right there. Used to have a sign company across the street. Showed me that. Of course, we just could have squared the ends off and put it on. You know, taking the time to shape it, to make it fit the truck. It's like the front just right here needs to come in a little bit. As if it would have came from the factory like that. That's what I want it to look like in the end. You know, no matter what we're working on, a little extra time, a little extra cut, a little extra weld makes a huge statement in the overall project. Can't wait to see this thing black up against that gray. It's really going to finish the whole thing off.
My name L1 actually means little one, and I got that name around the age of 14. Doing electrical, body shop, and paint, I always wanted to keep on learning, keep on going to the next thing. Start from the bottom, work your way to the top. You gotta know how to do every single part of the job. The first thing I learned how to do was actually sweep up a shop. If you don't know how to sweep up a shop, then you shouldn't be doing much of anything else. I'm not done learning yet. This is me with 10 years experience. I want to see myself with 20 years experience, 30 years experience. You always want to get something right and then keep on learning, but you got to learn the right way with the right people. If you're not open-minded to learn from others, then you're not going to get very far in this business. I like working at Extensive. The talent here is so diverse, and it's just crazy the amount of knowledge that you can gain. If something breaks, you make it. If you can't find it, you make it. If you can't do it, you make it and you do it. And that's why we keep building the best things that come out.
And like that, what was an ugly international dump truck has become something else entirely. Installing the seats, doors, running board, 10-inch tall tires. There won't be another custom truck quite like this on the road.
Hey, Bill, what's up?
Hello.
Hi, and good to see you as always.
Same.
What up, Johnny? I've known John Wood for quite some time. I love this guy, but I love messing with him too.
You got some news for me?
Well, I wanted you to come out and check this thing out. I got a couple questions on it.
That usually means there's problems, so how much more money do I owe you?
Right? I called him in, told him we had a couple issues with this truck. You already know how rough that thing is.
It shouldn't have any rust. It was covered with tar.
You know, I can tell right now he's super worried. He thinks this is going to cost him a lot. You ready to go check it out?
Yeah, let's go see what we got going. It always bothers me when you say you have a problem and you want me to... Oh, that's not a problem. That's done. You lied to me. You're lying to my face. Holy, that's beautiful. And it's not yellow.
Of course, there was a couple problems, but now it definitely runs and
that
drives.
Thing is bad A.
It's ready to roll, John.
It's really, really neat.
What do you think about the bumper on this thing? Split it, added 8 inches, made this thing way bigger with the big winch on it.
Added a winch. He even added a winch. I didn't ask for it. We're going to get it stuck sooner or later, and we're going to need the thing. I knew it was big when I saw it at the office, but in here, this thing's huge.
It was already big, but it's way, way, way bigger now.
The color choice was good.
Right? Getting rid of the school bus yellow was most definitely an essential part of the build. Changing it to gunmetal gray and making it a two-tone, it was definitely the right way to go.
Well, that's very different.
Right? You had creative fixes all throughout. This thing was a fire hazard for sure. My one-way diesel guys came in, they just fixed everything and addressed all the issues.
I I knew it was bad. I had no idea it was actually a fire hazard. I'm glad they fixed it all up because, you know, I have employees that are going to drive it, and it has to be safe. Wow.
What do you think about this thing?
I love it. This is great.
Right? This is way better before. Those old steps on this thing, you can see all the frame. Couldn't have that. New running boards on this thing and integrated the steps in it.
Vertically challenged, dude. I have to wait to get up there. You refinished it all. New seats, carpet, door panels. Wow. Wow. I bet it doesn't even stink in
new smell in there. Just had to rip all that out. Had the seats redone, got new carpet in it, and there was no door panels in this thing.
Right.
So John and Daniel hooked you up with that. You know, we could have just wrapped this thing, changed the color. But,
this is way better than a wrap.
You know, this is going to represent your company and mine, so we got to do this thing right, man.
Absolutely. Now on to the good stuff.
Right? What do you think about that?
It looks correct.
No more dump truck, right?
No more dump truck for sure.
Cut the back of the frame off, scooted the axle forward. All the suspension was all handmade underneath this thing. It's got a huge 4-link on this with big triple billow bags, so you can haul whatever you put on the back of this thing can haul it.
Wow.
And ride. Super smooth. And the bed was built specifically for this truck. You see the big wheel well opening.
Yeah.
So what do you think, man? Is this going to work for you?
Absolutely. I'm afraid to scratch it now. The bed scale matches the truck scale with the giant wheels and tires. It's a functional truck, and we're going to work this truck. You can tell the people that do this, they're craftspeople.
That's right. We all have passion for what we do, for sure. You know, this is just one more example just to show how Good Guy in the Shop just kicked ass time and time and time again. I know this thing is going to do everything you could ever want with it and even way, way more.
Thank you. This
Heisman Trophy.
I'll know I did a good job when it looks like you can just dive into this paper.
This thing makes 627 horsepower and 586 foot-pounds of torque, so this thing's going to be a tire shredder for sure.
The old school 1934 Buick,
and yeah,
a lot more power and a lot more reliability.
So we got us a little situation here.
The new old school.
What?
This is very quickly becoming one of my favorite cars.
Wow,
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Well, that hasn't been separated in a long time, huh?
It looks good. Everything's clean. All sheet metal looks pretty nice. You ready to roll it out?
Yep, let's go. We're known for custom trucks, but, you know, whatever rolls through the door, we're going to get our hands on it and give the little extensive touch to it. And when we're building a 49 Cadillac for NFL Hall of Famer Earl Campbell, I mean, this guy's a living legend. So everybody in the shop's got to be on point and make sure this thing's going to be perfect. You know, this car is special. And I'll say that about all of them, but this one's is definitely special.
I think it's your turn, buddy. The finisher. I appreciate it, man.
It's been months of metal work and body work just to get to this point. You know, when people see all the custom touches that are all throughout this car, they're going to know it's Earl Campbell's. You know, it's always a little bonus in the day when you get something major done, like just pulling the frame out, getting it cleaned up, getting it loaded off the powder coat. It's just a huge accomplishment. You know, considering how Earl's car came into what it is now, finally feels like we're getting something done. Thank you. Well, this thing is going to be a cool car. Earl, where's the first place you're going to take this car?
In Austin, Texas, there's a little hamburger joint. Been there since the 40s. I hang out there. That's what the cars meet on Thursday night. So that's going to be my first appearance in this 49.
All right, man. You make me hungry.
I know. What's for lunch? Burgers?
Earl, man, I'd really like to take you in the shop and show this thing to you at the stage it's at, but you've seen it in pieces enough. If you can bear with me, just wait just a little longer, I promise you, it's going to be extra special for you to see this thing totally finished.
I can't wait, Bill.
For the most part, Earl's just been leaving the design for the Caddy to us. But you know, Earl called me a couple days ago, said he had some ideas for the color accents for the interior.
I'm going to tell you, man, I can't wait to see it. But when I was coming through town, I bought you some UT that I like that interior to look like. This is the real UT orange, what I used to wear when I was in college. And now I don't need a number 20 on the leather, but everything else I would love for the inside to look like that.
So you don't want just us to get material to match this color. You actually want to use the UT jersey.
UT jersey, that orange.
In the car.
In the car. I got to have that orange in it.
Man, that's pretty cool. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just some touches all throughout. When you're building a car for Earl Campbell, you really want those touches to stand out. And putting these jerseys in the interior, this is definitely the way to go. Everybody's going to know whose car it is.
Oh, yeah. I feel like a junior high football player getting promoted to the varsity on that level.
You know, we built a lot of cool cars and trucks around, but this is by far probably definitely my favorite one.
A 49 Caddy.
Yes, sir.
An orange interior. That's going to be great.
Man, we're going to make it happen.
You got it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Shock me. Knock me out of my socks, but I'm ready.
All right.
How's she looking? It's looking real good. Considering, you know, where it's at now and where it started with, night and day. Repairing the rust on this thing, rebuilding the floor, you know, the drive shaft tunnel, transmission tunnel, building this car to the new chassis, to the new suspension, to the new engine, the LSX under the hood, man, this is going to be cool.
Just the hours that are in this area, much less the rest of the car.
You know, there's definitely a lot of custom modifications to this thing, you know, especially the firewall, to really get this thing looking like a car. When Earl pops a hood on this thing,
man, he's going to be so impressed.
For the new LSX, we're making custom intakes and exhaust, and it's wheels, tires, and brakes. As soon as we get this thing painted, we're going to get it over to interior for custom door panels, seats, console, and headliner. The stereo that's going in this thing, all the little custom accents. You know what you give a guy that has everything? 49 custom Cadillacs, that's what you give them. You know, the only thing left to do is just paint it and then everything else. Let's start with just the paint.
Let's get in the booth.
Let's get it pushed in there. All right, man. You got this?
Got this.
You know, one of the things Earl wanted from the very beginning is black paint. And Chris is getting that thing going now.
We're going to make sure that we get enough paint on this car that any imperfections or whatever, we want them to be covered. We'll put as many coats as it takes to get this car as black as possible. I met Bill back when we were, in our teens. We were in a truck club here in Houston, and he started doing air suspension. He did some work on one of my trucks a long time ago. I think when I was 18. I did it for 15 years straight. It's fun to do. I enjoy it. I grew up watching Earl Campbell play football, and, you know, people are going to see this car, and whoever knows it and who don't know it, at least I'll know I painted it. I'll know I did a good job when I can tell that it looks like you can just dive into this paint job because the color is going to look so deep. Cadillac out of the booth, and now that it's painted and cleared, the next process is wet sanding and buffing. It has an orange peel texture, kind of leathery looking. That's why they call it orange peel. It looks like the peel of an orange. What we want to do is sand this down with our blocks of different sandpapers, get it slick as possible, and then we're going to come back and buff it to give it that nice mirror finish. To guys did such a good job on this firewall doing the bead rolling on it that I can't use this block on because it will burn the paint. When I say burn it, I mean sand through the paint. We have real problems if I do that. We'll block the flat areas with this block and sandpaper, and then we'll have to come back by hand and get around all the bead rolls with finer grit sandpaper. And I know where I can and can't go because, like I said, we do not want to burn this paint at this stage in the game. Okay, this is our last step in our wet sanding process. We've got 3,000 grit sandpaper on our DA sander. We'll run over this real quick and then we'll be ready to buff. And when we start buffing, that's what's going to bring out that mirror shine that we're looking for. You have to spend the time on it to make it as slick and smooth as possible, or when this thing's buffed, you'll be able to see every flaw that's in it. All right, we just completed the wet sanding, buffing, and polishing part of our firewall here, which is the final step in a paint job. The only thing we got left now is to do the whole rest of the car.
Most of the guys working here have spent their whole lives in Houston. John, you know, is a lifer too. He just couldn't wait to get going on the interior. Because for guys like us, you know, Earl's just a local legend.
I'm getting ready to start the door panels and the interior on Earl's Caddy here. So what I've done is I've just laid out some templates on the doors and the panels all the way in. I got me a pencil, good eraser. I'll just sit here and figure out what we're going to make here and try to get everything incorporated in all at one time and get everything drawn out so we'll see the whole piece. We got the basic sketch down of where we're headed to, so now it's just a matter of how do we get UT in here. We don't want to make it overpowering. It needs to stay kind of subtle and just an accent in the car. So what we might do is put some sort of insert spot behind that. That might work. After looking at the placement of where I've got this armrest in relation to the seat, it's going to have to move up. So I'm really happy with the shape that I have of the armrest. So I'm going to transfer that onto another piece. This is how these things work. You just sit here and stare at them and think about it a little while, and it'll come to you. It'll all make sense. And so I like to just sit here early in the morning, quietly, enjoy my coffee, and sketch. So all I gotta do is just lift it up and stick it to another piece of board. So you just stick that down. I'll take an Alpha knife, cut that out, and that'll give me my template to work with so I can put this wherever I want it at on here. So what I'm thinking here is armrest just needs to move up to about right there. That looks good. I like where we're headed with this.
Even though there was assembly lines back when Earl's 1949 Cadillac was made, you know, a lot of stuff was made by hand. There wasn't any robots. And we're taking the same approach from the metalwork to the interior.
You know, Earl showed up the other day, brought in some jerseys, wanted us to work these into the car somehow. So my thought here is to take and use those to create that Cadillac V and drop that in right here underneath these pillows. That'll look really cool. Just a nice pop of that burnt orange in the car without being too overwhelming. It'll turn out looking really cool. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lay out the rest of the seams on the seat. I'm going to start laying out the bolsters first. I got a template that I've already drawn out for that. Make sure I have everything lined up. I want the lines exactly where I want them. In the center, what we're going to do is we're going to draw out a 2-inch tuck and roll. It's just something that was used classically back in the hot rod days. It's basically they take and they roll the leather over and you tuck it in with some foam, and it actually makes these pillow tops. Just kind of keep it the old school feeling of the 49 Cadillac, and then we'll have that modern touch of this nice, hard, solid, shaped out pillow on the top here that still has that lean to the classic styles. All right. You know, everything in here has got a nice flow. We've still got that classic feel to it with the tuck and roll. I think this little pop of orange up here in the top for these V's is going to be, get them into the trim shop, and we'll get them covered.
We put the old school 1934 Buick Model 57 on hold because the owner wanted to figure out what kind of power plant he wanted to use. He ended up with the late Model 5.3, and now we're back at it.
Got it, huh?
Got it. This is perfect for for this old Buick.
It always sucks to see a project get pulled off the lift, but I'm glad he made up his mind exactly what he wanted. Now we can move forward with the rest of the car.
I wasn't really feeling taking this thing apart. It was so pristine, so original. It was hard to cut into it, but we pulled out the stock straight 8 motor, ripping out the old suspension, and start building fresh. Get the steering all mocked up. I mean, this thing's going to be a new car all underneath once we're done. Especially with the new 5.3.
He just had to have a new motor and transmission in it.
Exactly, man. Power, reliability. He'll never have to worry about this for sure.
I can't wait to see this thing come together. It's going to be a really, really nice old school.
The new old school.
The new old school.
Freezing cold out here today, and we're about to go drop the LS into the Buick.
The old school straight 8 is a lot wider than the straight 8. So once little one gets this thing in, we have to mock up a new steering configuration.
All right, just make sure that it doesn't hit the headlight or the paint.
Okay. Go ahead.
In?
Yeah.
This thing is pretty dirty, but when we're done with it, it's gonna look spotless.
Come in. Slowly, slowly. Watch the front bumper.
Yeah. All right, we clear?
Yeah.
Now, we get that angle under it, then we need one more in the front, and then we can go ahead and start moving it around. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now that we have the header mocked up and the engine fully on its own in the car, the steering has to be moved now too.
The owner still wants to keep as much of that original interior as possible. So we're trying to keep the old steering column.
The key to work on these beautiful cars is you gotta do yoga at least once a week. Since I can't cut right outside on the firewall, we gotta take the ignition off, release the column, and pull it out without damaging this nice, beautiful interior. Beep, beep. That was easy, wasn't it? Got it out.
Cool, man. Keeping the old column just fit the whole original interior in this is definitely the way to go about it. There's a problem with that, though. We don't have any way to adapt the original column to the rack and pinion that we're going to put underneath there. So we have an end of an old column. I want to graft this on to the original one.
All right.
That way we can adapt all this right to the rack and pinion, and everything will work right.
Right.
You know where to cut.
Got it.
Quick, easy, right? No, this just goes to show you there's something that wasn't even thought of when we set out to do this little project. But, that's just what we do. We deal with them, keep on rolling. Got that.
It's kind of like a Russian doll. Everything just goes in piece after piece after piece, and they're all going to fit in perfect. Now it's time to put all the pieces together and make this custom 1934 2020 steering column. So this is not our finished product until it gets painted and fully installed, but now we're ready to mock up our rack and pinion. I gotta wash my hands because I do not want to get this interior. A while ago we were sticking all the way here, almost touching the header. Now we're right at the firewall, exactly where we measured, exactly where we wanted it to be. From here we can pivot around it and we can go straight into our rack and pinion that's gonna end up being up there in the front.
Rainy measuring tapes. So we got us a little situation here. Our rack is way up there in front, like almost a foot in front of the engine. And with our column coming out like right behind the cylinder head, we need to detour our steering shaft around the exhaust header and then go back straight to the rack. So we had to make us like a two-piece steering shaft with the center U-joint mounted on a heim joint. We got to get this thing as close as possible to the header without touching. That way it doesn't put this U-joint in so much of an angle, which is going to cause hard spots in your steering. We have 3 U-joints. There's nothing to hold it in the middle. we got to support it with this Heim joint. And what this is going to do is hold this shaft in the center from moving around and hitting the headers into the chassis. That way it'll support this from moving around. We got everything in place. Now we're ready to give this a rotation. Check it out. Man, this steers pretty good. I don't feel any hard spots. I think we got this set up pretty good. Now we definitely know this car is going to steer in the right direction.
Definitely not going to make a lot of new friends with the Buick crowd cutting into this original 34 Buick. But we're still doing what we can to give this thing the respect it deserves. I have Edgar color matching the engine to the cab, and Matt's adding a super clean serpentine setup.
So now we got our motor in here. We're going to go ahead and start getting the front drive assembly on, the water pump, alternator, and everything that gets the motor running. So with this bracket here, it holds the water pump, the alternator, power steering pump. It allows everything to be more compact and gives us a lot more clearance, especially when a car like this, we barely have any clearance in the engine bay, so it tightens everything up and gives it a nice look. Now that we got our bracket on, we'll go ahead and mount our power steering pump up. We're still real tight on clearance, but it fits, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Now it's lean, mean, and ready to be seen. Got it.
Yes, man.
Definitely a big improvement from what was in it.
A lot more power and a lot more reliability.
And it kind of looks like it belongs.
Yeah, it just looks right at home in this thing. Man, Matt, it's all downhill now, huh?
Yes, sir.
You know, there's so much room on the backseat of this 49 Cadillac that John has plenty of space to come up with a couple of one-off speaker enclosures.
So what I'm going to do to take up this space here is I'm going to use it as a subwoofer enclosure. I'm going to take my subwoofer, flip it upside down, and downfire it into the pocket over here. Get a little back pressure loaded on the front of the subwoofer. It'll improve the sound a little bit. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'll start with the baffle of the box, and I can take that and I start building the walls of the box up and around and get the shape to it that I'm looking for. Figure out how we're going to go about tying this whole big piece together. Let's start with the back wall that needs to be curved. Basically just cutting it every 1/4 inch, almost all the way through, and that'll allow it to bend and shape to the fender well just fine. So once I get my angle cut on it, we can go put it in the car and get it stuck. This enclosure is a little different than most of the enclosures that we build around here. It will actually become the interior trim panel of the car. We'll make a top piece that comes out, but it won't come out all the way. It'll stop shy over here with some shape in it, and we'll bring it all back into here to go down. And this will turn into your armrest area up here. So when you're sitting in the back seat, you're in an armrest here, and this will all sculpt down towards the seat. In order for this material to make the shape that I want, I've made these ribs, and we'll put them around in a couple of places, and that'll give us something to attach our material to and start fiberglassing. Just going to take a piece of this flex form carpet here, push this down in here. It'll take the shape that we want. We'll get it stapled down. That should be perfect. Now that we got that worked out, next thing we'll do is take some fiberglass resin, start piling it on here, and wait for it to get dry enough to touch so we don't get it all over the car. And once it's to that point, we're going to put it back in the car, continue building our panels around it, get everything tied in. When you're building your custom panels like this, you want to make sure that you keep everything in consideration, keep things nice and tight so you have one nice cohesive flow through your entire panel.
Edgar painted the new LSX for Earl's 49 Cadillac. And of course, it's Texas Longhorn Orange. And we got our custom chassis back from Powder Coat. We're putting it all together with brand new air lines, brand new brake lines, all new stainless bolts, and of course, brand new Billy wheels.
Starting to look like a car now. Yeah, looks good with 4 wheels on it.
Man, now you can actually
actually see how the contrast is coming together. The little pop of the motor color is going to tie into a little bit of interior color. It's going to make the whole car a complete package. And this car is fit for Earl Campbell.
Definitely. I hope he'll let me borrow it one day.
When you're getting the body ready to put on the frame, it makes for a really, really good day. Seeing the big pieces, man, it gets me excited. This is very quickly becoming Nine Caddies about to be born today. I sure be liking that chassis. You should probably set it down on there, huh?
Yeah.
Looking good.
It looks real good.
You know, these are the colors he was wearing when he won the Heisman Trophy. He's got to love this, right?
Right. Man, especially being his first custom car.
I'd be happy with this, my 100th custom car.
Man, that's cool. It's custom made like a V.
Yeah, dude. It sure is. Just for this car.
With all the work we've done to Earl Campbell's 49 Cadillac, there's still something missing. So I asked Justin to build a couple of custom downpipes.
Right here on Earl's Cadillac, we got the LSX 454 crate motor stabbed in there. This thing makes 627 horsepower and 586 foot-pounds of torque at 5,000 RPM. So this thing's gonna be a tire shredder for sure. So we're gonna go ahead and get our throttle bodies mounted up so we can start doing our charge pipes. We got these billet throttle bodies. They're twin 102 millimeter throttle bodies. So it's gonna supply a lot of air to this big cubic inch motor. We have our aluminum mandrel bends. They're 3 new now. We can kind of see that there's a lot of room in the engine bay, so we get creative on this intake system. Well, since he went to UT and old Vivo over there, we're gonna go ahead and do it where it looks like almost 2 horns in the center. Cut 5 inches off of each horn. I marked 5 inches from the end of our tube so that both of our tubes match up, and I'm gonna use the tape pretty much to connect the dots so that we have a good clean cut line to follow. Let's go cut some pipe. Basically, since this is a big 454 cubic inch engine, we need to make sure that we can supply it with enough air to make that power. So that's the reason we chose the 3.5 inch dual throttle body setup. And we're gonna try to put the filter placement where we're pulling good, clean, fresh air right in the front of the vehicle. So I like the way that the intake has that X pattern, so we're gonna try to emulate that with our intake tubes. It's looking like we can take this 180-degree bend, split it in half, use that 90-degree angle, and it should put our pitch right exactly where we're wanting. So now that we have all of our tubes cut, you can kind of see the direction we were talking about in the beginning where we wanted our placement of our air filters. And now that we have it with the tape kind of securing the 2 tubes in place, we can get it pulled off and go weld it up. So on this tube here, I'm going to end up welding it clockwise, coming around this way. And on this tube here, I'm going to come counterclockwise. It's going to give it one of those little small details that most people wouldn't notice, but, you know, to the ones that do it, they'll appreciate it. So we're going to go test fit them on a caddy, see how they look. If everything looks good, we can go ahead and pull them off and polish them. So now that we got everything wrapped up, everything's installed, see everything fits like we wanted, I think Earl will be real happy with this when he sees it.
After a lot of hard work and some tough decisions, this 1934 Buick's finally done. You know, I was really reluctant about cutting out all the old factory suspension, but once we got into it, that's what we do.
Bill called me and said the car was ready to come and look at it, so, I invited the guys, Silveranos Car Clubs of Houston. All my friends are here, their cars are here. We're all excited to look at the Buick.
What's going on, man?
See you, man.
Javier, how you doing, man? Good to see you. What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's up?
You got the whole crew out, huh?
Oh, yeah.
You know, after looking at your whole crew's cars, I can definitely see why you wanted to do what you wanted to do.
Oh, yeah, man. I got to keep up with them, so.
Yeah. Your Buick now, it'd definitely fit in with the crowd for sure.
Oh, I can't wait. All right. Hey, good deal, man. Man, she looks pretty. Damn, bro. Oh, my God. Good deal, man. Awesome. All right, man. Good job, man. Good, man.
Man, what you think about that thing?
Man, it looks good. Beautiful. I love the way it looks, the stance, the wheels.
You know, first things first, we got this thing on the lift and just started fresh with a new rear end, built independent front suspension for it with all air all the way around. That thing's gonna ride good, handle good, and be reliable for sure.
Now you know why I asked you to do what I wanted to do, right?
You know, Javier, I gotta admit, once this thing's down on the ground like that, man, it changes the whole look.
Yeah.
Definitely made the right decision for sure.
Yeah.
One other thing you wanted was the reliability and some power under the hood, right?
Right.
Let's check out under the hood.
How'd you fit that thing in there?
Started out ripping that old engine and trans out and just getting a pulled out 5.3, stripping it all down, really dressed it up, make it look good. So when you pop the hood, you got something to be proud of.
Man, wonderful.
It was tough, but definitely worth it. We had to do a vintage air frame that's such a narrow frame in it. We had to custom make all the steering to get around the headers, and everything had to be one off, especially because of the fitment.
The old engine looked like an antique. This is state of the art. This car went from being real cool to real gangster.
You probably got 10 times the power that this thing came with. We'll see if you can keep some tread on these old cokers here.
All right, can't wait.
Taking a late model engine, sticking in such an antique car, you think it'd probably stick out. But all the work we put into this engine, making it look the way it does, it's like it was made for this car. What do you guys think, man? You gonna let this guy cruise around with you?
Yeah. I'm so happy now that I can just get in this car, start it up, and show it off. Thanks a lot, man.
You're welcome, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right.
You know, sometimes in this business, you really got to lean on your guys. You know, on the caddy, we really had to lean on John. You know, he's really coming through. Every little detail he's adding is 100.
We get started on the rear deck for the 49 caddy. We're going to start by cutting out our base out of MDF. We'll take that over to the car, get that in place, and start building it up from there. The back deck has a curve in it, so we'll make two pieces. I'm gonna take some fiberall here and mix it up and use that to actually put these two pieces, especially with it being up here in the rear deck of the car. You know, it takes a lot of heat up here. We want something that's really gonna be able to stand up and not give us any issues. This will be the riser that'll come up from the rear deck that helps tie it into the back of the seats. All right, we got this thing all dried up, positioned, ready to go. So I'm gonna pop this thing out, take it across the way, put it on the table, and we'll finish it out there.
You know, Earl Camel's 49 Cadillac is just one of those builds where we're just making as many parts as we can by hand. Ryan's finishing up the custom exhaust on one side. Now he's mirror imaging it to the other.
The first side is always the easiest. Mirroring it is the hardest part about it. It's just a lot of marking, fine-tuning, a bunch of small cuts until you get that final exact perfect fit that we're looking for. And you know, it's easier to cut a little bit at a time than cut a whole bunch and then have to either add or go find another piece and start all over again. Well, the reason I'm putting the V-band here is because the muffler and all that, all the way to the header is all one piece right now and one full piece. Houston, 40 degrees in the morning, 80 degrees at lunch. At this point, the exhaust is the most complex of it all because of this bin that I got right here and then just what I had to work with and just the limited amount of space. So trying to make this work and flow and not cause any restriction and also clear everything is pretty tricky, but hopefully I can get exactly what I'm looking for out of this and make it go all the way, jump out the back instead of stopping right here. Alright, so I didn't let it beat me. We were able to make it come all the way out to the back. That's gonna look tight from the back. Whenever you're driving behind it, see that? That's gonna look dope. So now all we got left to do is just make some hangers, drill some O2 bungs, weld it all up, and throw it back in the car. I think if Earl ever gets to take a look underneath this car, he should be very happy. I know I am.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Bill?
On this build, there was a lot of parts had to get chromed, but that grill, you know, that grill's something special. We had to make sure this thing shined. You got something for me?
Oh, yeah, I got something for you, buddy. I got your grill.
Man, everything looks good, Victor.
It's a 1940.
Dip this thing in chrome, but
Yeah, I mean, well, you do it in 30 minutes. Nah.
you gotta take the whole thing apart, huh?
The whole thing apart. Okay, these 5 pieces right here, they're made of stainless steel. So you got to be careful with them, you know, when you polish them and chrome plate them.
Yeah, and it's not just this either. Of course, you got such a good reflection. You look down here, you see everything up here. So everything back here has to look just as good.
Like that.
Because this thing's pretty much a mirror now.
Yeah.
Victor, you sure this is the same one?
The same one, buddy.
This thing looks brand new. I think it's better new.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely.
Man, I appreciate it, Victor.
It's all yours, buddy. Let's be careful now.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, a ton of interior work's been done to this 49 Cadillac, but there's still a ton more to go. You know, John's got his work cut out for him, building custom speaker pods, cup holders, and pockets. Man, these door panels are gonna be cool.
So now I got the speaker pod and cup holder pocket all ground out in shape. The next component that I need to finish for the door panel is the armrest. So I'll just take my template here, just gonna trace it out. I'll come in and rough cut it, and we'll route it. All right, got them all cut out. Next step to do, sand them down, glue them up, and then stack them. You just kind of come up with ideas in your head and then think of ways to execute your ideas. You know, the stacking method here is basically just to get a big chunk to carve out of, as you would any other sculpture, really. So the next thing you're gonna do is gotta put the hand pull in this thing. I've got a template here, so I'll have it for both sides. Trace it out. All of this in here is gonna get carved out, so we have some place to put fingers, grab a hold of it, and close it. You know, Earl came in the other day. He had a challenge. He really wants to get this UT burnt orange color in the car. We're going to take this, cut it up, and wrap a few pieces. That will work. This is where all that body working and sanding really starts to pay off. You can actually start to see what you've made, see the final product. Everything starts to come together. You can see all your lines, your details. And if you don't put all that time and effort into it, when you get to this point, it'll start to show too. All right, well, that's a wrap. Only thing left to do now is get it on the car and get the speakers in it and get everything buttoned up, and this thing will be ready to roll.
I love working on Cadillacs because that's just the car of the industry.
It's one of those cool cars that was always fun because they were the luxury of the time.
Cadillac rolls in here.
We're all fighting to work on it.
I hope I get to work on it.
John knows with that Cadillac, he can put 15 speakers in the trunk. You know you can make it as low as you want and make it go as fast as you want.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be the porter and drive around the parking lot. I mean, that's what I want to do. Of course, we did the 59 for Slim. We cut the roof off and made it a Roadster.
Night and day difference in that
just
car.
doing the windshield wrap around on that car.
Yeah, stretching the back out, moving the seats that far back to make room for
That's
him.
one thing Cadillacs always had, is plenty of room.
Nothing said America like Cadillac.
As American as,
you know, apple pie. They'll keep making them. We'll keep customizing them. People keep eating them.
You know, I can remember being young and my dad watching Earl Campbell just killing people every week. He just rooted for him, you know, every time he played. You know, when people hear now that we're building a car for Earl Campbell, you hear all the stories of how good a player he was and just how he dominated everybody on the field. You know, every step of the way on this 49 Cadillac, you know, Earl's been an inspiration to us. You know, the consistency, you know, that's what we were going for in building this Cadillac. You know, so today it's an honor to give Earl his car back. The 49 Cadillac is something I'm very proud of, and every guy in the shop is proud of. I'm kind of jealous, man. This is a cool car.
Hey, Tim, you can't tell me anything about this car, man.
Man, I don't want to tell you anything. I want to keep it a surprise for you till Bill gets here. One thing I will tell you is it's all in one piece now. All them buckets it showed up in and records that it showed up on,
It's in a whole lot better shape than what it was.
Earl came all the way from Austin to Houston just to see this car we built for him. You know, the last time you seen it, it was in thousands of pieces. I can't wait to show it to him now.
How you doing, Bill?
Man, what's going on?
I'm here to see that bad boy, Caddy. Oh, yeah, man.
Man, you saved me just in time. You've been picking my brains wanting to see this thing.
What do you think, Earl? I know you've been waiting a while. You ready to see this thing?
I'm ready. I can't wait, Bill.
Man, Timmy, let's do it.
Here she comes.
It was fun building this. This is something we're all super proud of for sure.
Come on, man. Hurry up. Let's get this car uncovered. Look at that. Whoa, man, that is great.
What you think, Earl?
Golly, Bill, when this car first got here, that paint job, that black. Man, that bumper, that's a hell of a lot of chrome.
There's plenty of black and plenty of chrome on this thing.
Oh, man, that's great.
Man, Earl, you know, it's a huge challenge to make, you know, parts in the parking lot into a car looking like this. You know, we first started off getting this thing on the lift, doing rust repair. You know, getting a car this old, this straight, and the gaps right on this, the body guys, that's showing their skills right there. A 49 Cadillac don't come like that. You make it like that.
Yeah, especially when the panels come in the back of a truck all thrown together, just thrown in that truck.
Come on, man, you guys don't let me forget that, huh?
You know, especially black. You know, looking down the side of this thing is laser straight.
Man, that is beautiful.
You know, building a chassis on this thing, Earl, motor mounts, new rear end, new front suspension, air suspension, so this thing lays real low to the ground too. Every nut, bolt, everything is 100% brand new. You have a brand new 49 Cadillac.
Just to see it all put together, I was amazed. I mean, the chrome on it, the lovely lady on the front. I mean, I just can go on. I just couldn't believe it.
Earl, you had a couple stipulations. You wanted this car to be some power under the hood.
That's right.
We got something for you under there.
Let's see. Good nurse.
Earl, you said you wanted some power under the hood in this thing. The 454 LSX is the one for it.
And burnt orange.
Yep.
That's great, man.
Building all new firewall in this thing, all new sheet metal molded onto the fenders, new core support. John came in and just bead roll you nice, cool panels in there. You know, it's got the little Cadillac V recessed down in it.
On the wall, man. It's unbelievable.
You know, Earl, when Justin was making the air intakes of this, he took a design cue from, you know, UT mascot Bevo, kind of replicated the Longhorn on the
Yeah, sure, you kind of see that's an intakes.
Right?
One of your honors in life was the Hall of Fame, so we wanted to make you a medallion here to hold the two pipes together. John machined us a deal. This is 1991 Hall of Fame with a little football on it.
You know, there's no mistaking whose car this is.
That's right.
Let's check out the interior of this thing.
Wow.
Man, last time you seen this thing, there was just piles and piles and piles of parts for the interior on this thing, right?
Yes, man. It's got the burnt orange on the door.
Man, we know you had to have that UT orange. We sewn them into the interior itself. All this is handmade by old John Burgess himself.
Yes, he did a great job.
You know, it's got you a little something special back there in the rear deck as well.
Yes.
You get the little Longhorns incorporated in the back, all the way up into the Dakota Digital gauges.
Now, there's some special numbers in your life of what you've been through. So, 20, you were a Heisman at UT.
That's right.
34, you were a Houston Oiler, and then 91, you went to Hall of Fame.
That's right. There's no doubt everything in this car says Earl Campbell. I mean, they went out of their way and beyond. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more. Oh, man. Yeah, grief. That's down in the dirt.
That just changes the whole attitude, right?
Yes, sir. When you see that 49 Caddy sitting up, that's one thing. But when you see it go down all the way in the grass, that's bad. You got a 49 after that.
I try to make this thing as comfortable and as cool for you as possible. It's got 24x9s in the front and 22x12s in the rear.
I never seen a rim like that before. That's one of a kind. I love it. What a beautiful car.
I like your car, man.
I'm happy it's mine. I'm happy as mine. Thank y'all very much for what y'all done. You and your team should be very proud.
The whole process from start to finish, it took some time. It was a labor of love for every guy. I can't thank my guys enough. And this is just one more example of us just, y'all ready to make some grandpas, man?
Let's do it.
This 1975 Bronco has a classic design.
It's been through 2 ex-wives and still got to keep hold on it.
Oh, yeah. This makeshift roof isn't going to cut it.
Man, that's the downfall of custom. It has never stopped. Always something to do. Always.
Oh, my God, Bill.
Is that low enough or what?
Dude.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Busier and busier. We got a lot of cars in here and we need more room to bring in more cars. That's exactly what we're doing. Need more room? We're going to make more room. Started out doing a little trade job here and there. Got a little more concrete. Built an awning. Ended up enclosing it. And now we're about, 22,000 square feet. That's not enough. So we're putting down some new concrete in front of the interior shop. Eventually, we'll cover this thing up and fill it full of lifts. Thank God I got customers like Marcos. Got a huge concrete company. We're doing a little work for him, doing a little work for us, doing a little trade, little barter deal. Here we are expanding. It's one of those win-win deals. We get to expand and we get to work on Marcos's next project.
That thing is bad.
From the first project Marcos brought in, years and years ago until the latest.
Golly. I don't even know what to say, brother.
This guy is not only a good customer, but he became a really good friend of mine. And, what better to work on, the latest and greatest project for a good friend of yours. What's up, man?
What's up, Bill?
He finally got you one.
I told you I was going to get one.
Marco's been talking about old Ford for quite some time. It looks like he finally found the perfect one for him. This 1968 was the 4th generation of this F100. Older ones had a more rounded hood, but as you can see, trucks is as good a shape as this.
It looks all right, but not good enough for me.
It's perfect, but it's not perfect for you.
Exactly. Everyone that can have a classic truck, but not a classic custom, because a lot of people, they don't like to, cut into a nice classic looking truck like that. It's going to be an easy project for you.
Oh, here we go. Let me guess, under the hood, there's not enough power.
Nope.
Not low enough.
Nope.
Don't have the right wheels and tires.
Nope.
How'd I know this already?
You already know him. It's just too classic.
Because we built Marcos a project about, once a year, I already know what this thing's going to look like before he even talks about it. I think 24 by 8s on the front, 24 by 15s on the back. Get this thing really low down to the ground.
Really low on the ground.
See what you got on the hood of this thing. Marcos, you got you a V8 underneath here already.
The V8?
Well, back in 1968 when this thing was new, it was probably plenty of power.
Back then?
But now, no. This ain't gonna cut it, especially for you.
Yeah.
Man, I think the best thing to do is just rip all this out. Instead of trying to upgrade this to give you more power, let's just rip this thing out, put a late model Coyote in this thing,
right?
And then we'll put a supercharger on top of that also.
I like that. I like
that. So you got, not only enough power.
Well, I like that.
Well, let's see what you got in the interior.
All right. What do you think?
It's a good looking truck, man. It's solid.
It's clean, but I still want you to make them different.
Just wake it up a little bit. Still keep that classic look and just add a couple little custom touches.
Right.
New gauges in this thing.
Right.
Man, I love the two colors. I love the green and the brown. They look really good together. Get rid of the white on the door panel. Make a custom door panel.
Right.
Brown leather. To really make it have that custom look.
And don't forget about my AC.
Oh, no.
I need AC on this thing.
I know you got to ride cool in this thing for sure.
So what do you think on the bed?
To get the stance right on this thing with such a big wheel and tire combo, it's going to be low to the ground.
So in order to do that, we're going to have to remake the fender wells in the back of this come up a lot higher, and of course with those wide tires, a lot wider. The differential is going to come up a lot higher, so we'll have to raise this bed floor up so you don't see a big hole in there.
Right.
Still have that classiness with the custom look.
I told you I was going to make it easier on you on the next one.
Yeah, it's way easier, right? You know, no matter what it is, it isn't fast enough. It isn't big enough, low enough. He has to have just such his cars. This one's no different.
So I'll come by and pick them up next week?
Yeah, right. Come on. We'll see you soon, though. Marcos is back again. Longtime customer, has become a really good friend of mine. And, you know, the old saying, good ain't good enough, that's definitely the case with Marcos, because this truck is a lot of people's dream just the way it is. This 68 Ford, it's already been to a restoration shop. I mean, somebody's already gone through this thing and put it back pretty much factory and original, which is great for us getting it in this shape. We only got to make it cool now. We don't have to go back and fix rust, you know, make panels line up. We're not concerned with that at all. We're just going to make this thing have the right stance, the right engine, and the right wheels and tires. Marcos is a car connoisseur. Good ain't good enough for him. He wants this thing immaculate, something cool, unique going down the road. We're going to take this 68 Ford and just make it a rolling piece of cool art driving down the road.
I saw Marcos pull up there.
Much a perfect truck, right?
That's a really nice truck.
Real nice.
So true Marcos fashion. You're going to take a truck that's already restored, already looks good, already runs and drives. He wants to cut it up, make it better.
That's it. This thing doesn't ride good, doesn't drive good. You know, it's got a nice V8 in this thing, but ain't no way.
Yeah.
We put a brand new Coyote in this thing, over 400 horsepower, just the engine. But then we're going to put a supercharger on it, too. You know that's what he's got to have.
So Marcos wants to go fast.
Right.
No.
You know, we're going to make a brand new chassis, bumper to bumper, all out of rectangle tubing. So it's going to be super rigid. This thing, I go through the corners, you know, like a race car.
Just getting rid of that front suspension is going to be a huge factor on this truck. This
thing's scary to drive at 80 miles an hour. You know, as far as the interior, it looks nice. It has that classic look, which he wants to keep, but just a couple of custom touches all throughout. I love the brown and green together, so we're going to keep that color inside, but we're going to recover the seat, add custom door panels, and new carpet in it. You know, of course, Texas, you got to have the AC in it too. Yep. And to give room for those big 24s that are on the back of these things, we're going to have to build big, tall wheel tubs and wide wheel tubs. So what we're going to do is raise the bed floor in it so it matches the interior.
Man, it's going to be like the grandpa that bought the truck brand new and took care of it all of his life, and he gave it to the grandson as a gift. And the next time the grandson comes to the house, it's laid out on the ground, big wheels, motor, all obnoxious.
That reminds me of me when I was 16. My dad gave me a good-looking, perfect truck, the 83 Chevy N86, and I just tore it up.
Oh, no.
So he was mad at me. He's still looking down mad at me now. Y'all ready to make some grandpas mad?
Let's do it.
Ready?
First things first, this is what I want to do is unbolt the cab front end and pick it up off the chassis and just roll it completely out. We're not going to use any of that at all.
I just can't believe it's the last time it's going to be together. It being this nice. Man. Here we go.
Let's take the bed off.
Come on, Matt. Give us a hand.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
You take the bolt out? Oh, I see what it is. That's good, Tim. Basically because someone decided to be a good idea to weld the exhaust hanger to the bed structure. So when you're fabricating like an exhaust, you definitely don't want to put the hanger on the body. You want to go off the frames, because if you ever need to pull a bed, you have to cut the exhaust. But first cut, got that out the way. Let's get the bed off. Going down. 1, 2, 3.
Gotta go down.
Oh, all right.
right. The cleanness is, though, man. Can you appreciate that for a moment? It's not all greasy. It's not all dirty. It's nice. That only took 10 minutes to destroy a classic truck.
Your grandpa would be mad.
Grandpa would be mad. It is what it is. On to the new life.
You know, other people's custom might look good from the top, but underneath, we got these have sheet metal screws running down through the bed, holding the wood down. It might look good from the top, but it's dangerous underneath this thing. Building a nice car isn't just, you know, what's on the outside. It's what's on the inside, what's underneath. You know, was feeling really bad about, you know, Marcos's truck looking really clean, really nice, really original, but that is definitely not the case. We're going to add a 5.0 Coyote to the 68 Ford Ranger. So we're going to build a custom chassis rigid enough to handle all that extra power. You know, in any project, you got to have this perfect platform. And that's exactly what we're doing, building a chassis for this thing. You know, this is going to be a major improvement for this old truck. The older chassis have a lot of flex and play, which, you know, adds to the longevity of the truck. This one isn't going to do that. We're going just total performance and ride quality on this. We're not worried about if the truck's going to work fine on the ranch 50 years from now. Not a concern. The very back with 8 inches, so it's a really weird shape. And if we're going to raise the floor up, might not do it like that. You know, normally when we build the frame back up over the axle and then back down to the bed floor. But in this case, we're going to raise the whole bed floor. So it kind of looks weird if we build the frame up and around and back down. We're going to have to build super tall bed mounts to come up and catch the bed. That's something we don't want. So a more custom look would just be the frame coming back, going up over the axle, and then straight back. It's just going to give us a lot more room underneath there, a lot more room for the fuel cell, suspension, all the air components, and give that bed a real custom look.
Now that Bill's figured out the way he wants to build this frame, it's time to start cutting it up. Basically what we're going to do is make this 2x4 frame continue up at a 45-degree angle into the 2x3 frame. And the bed will sit right on top of this. The thing about this frame, it's going to have a big motor in this. We're going to lose a little bit of depth in the bed, but we'll have more room for the big fuel cell and a lot more rigid frame that'll support all the power we're going to put to those big wheels. Now we're going to come on the bottom side. We're going to use these tubes to brace the bottom. Hanging out that far, you kind of like a cantilever, and it'll kind of be trying to do this stuff when you put pressure. So what we're going to do, we're going to put some tubing here and go up into the frame. It's going to transfer all the weight into this tube here. You're not going to bend that frame. So the key here is form and function. We want to make sure everything works and it looks good. All these braces do something.
What's happening, man?
Not much.
That's a good-looking truck. You know, it's always cool to get two old Fords at the shop at the same time. This 1975 Bronco has a classic design with flat windows and straight lines.
It's been through 2 ex-wives and still got hold on it.
Oh, yeah?
I got my Bronco back in 1990 and just been driving it and changing up ever since.
You know, it looks done. What do you want to do to it?
Well, you know, I got a little issue with the roof. This Texas heat is bad, and you know how it is when you're driving around, going to the beach or going to deer lease.
So you're just riding around and the sun just beating down on you. Man, you got such a good-looking truck. Then you get up to the top and you see that vinyl, afterthought. We can definitely improve on that. Is there anything else you want to do this?
I got something else in the back I'd like to show you. This gap back here.
Oh, okay.
This doesn't look right to me.
You know what? Some of it probably look really good, even shortening the frame on this thing and scooting the bumper a lot closer too, and then the whole thing fit a little tighter.
That sounds great.
So what are you thinking inside here?
I need a console, so something more secure.
So you want a safe down in the console?
Yeah, if that's possible.
Oh yeah, that's it.
No, there's one more thing.
Yeah.
I'd like to put a little hood scoop right here on this vent.
And there's a 5.0 in this thing?
Exactly.
Yeah, you definitely need a little more air to that thing, right?
Yeah, I think it's starving right now.
That's cool, yeah. Definitely handle that. You know, this Bronco looks really good. You can tell there's been quite a few things have been done to it over the years, but, just like any project, any custom car, there's always something else. Great looking truck.
That's what I like to hear.
Let's go make it happen. It's always nice when a customer keeps an old car alive. This thing's been around and around and around and around. It's been through many different hands, and it's good to see, a customer really appreciate what they have and just, keep adding. That's what's cool about old projects like this, and, an owner that has passion for these types of projects, there's always something else to do to it. You check 10 things off the list, there's always 10 more things that you can do to it to make it even cooler. So now this Bronco's life is in our hands. I'm gonna get a few guys on it to really fab up some cool custom touches. I'm a betting man, so I bet this thing is gonna be back within a year with a whole new list of things to do to make this Bronco even cooler. What up, fellas? Oh, what's up?
It's a good looking Bronco.
Man, it is. It's cool. This guy's had this thing for quite some time, just adding and adding. It's been an ever-evolving project.
Man, that's the downfall of custom. It just never stops. It just keeps going and going and going.
Always something to do.
Always something.
That's exactly what can really help him out. One of the things that isn't cool is the roof of this thing, right? This flimsy little makeshift roof isn't gonna cut it.
You do 70, 80 miles an hour on the road, that thing might slap you in the face.
Or fly off and slap somebody else behind you in the face. So, want to take this thing off and build, a custom roof for this thing. And the other problem is when you go park this thing somewhere, there's no way to lock everything up. So he wants to be able to go into a store and leave whatever in it locked up. Guns, pistols, knives, whatever. He wants to be able to lock it up. So we need lockable storage for the console. And I don't know if you've seen on the back of this thing, it's got a big gap in between the bumper and the body. It doesn't look right. It's definitely not custom, So we're gonna cut the back of the frame off and suck that bumper away in and make it look good.
Make it look right.
One more thing he wants, just that one last thing you wanted, is a custom air intake on the hood. Something to grab that air and force it down into the engine.
More air, more power.
That's it. That's it.
It's never just one more thing.
Yeah, never. Oh, he's definitely going to be back with another list for sure. After years in the Texas sun, we're going to get rid of that old vinyl roof. We're going to replace that with a whole new custom aluminum one.
What we've done so far is we've established the straight lines of where we're going to start breaking everything. We'll take these measurements, transform to the aluminum, mark out where everything needs to be, where the brakes need to be, and then we're going to start cutting.
Now we got our whole panel cut out. So what I'm going to do is just notch out the corners, what we don't need. We're going to take this over to the brake, bend those down 90 degrees, and then we can start forming our edges.
So now we have this up here where it kind of needs to be. We're going to make a front piece, and a back piece.
Now we got this shape, how we need it to fit the windshield and the roof. I'm gonna clamp this to the front of our roof, tack weld it. Now I got this stitched up to the roof. Now we can make our corners. Man, this aluminum roof is gonna be a whole lot nicer than that rag top he had. You won't have none of that wind noise with it flapping while you're driving down the highway, or even out real handy in these Texas summers. Keep the whole interior of this truck in the shade at all times. Style and comfort. What more would you want?
Put a late model 5.0 in this 75 Bronco. Tim and John are going to make a custom air scoop to force that air right into the engine and look cool.
A little something like that, probably. Now the purpose of making this out of chipboard and bending it the way I did is now I can lay this out flat on a piece of aluminum, cut it just like this, all out of one piece. These reference lines I got drawn out here, put this in the brake, bend it up about 60 degrees, and then flip it over, and I should get the desired look I'm looking for, just like on the template. It looks good, but I think I need to adjust it where the top of it looks even with the windshield.
Yeah, you got the windshield lines going straight, and the hinge is straight. That's...
So if I make this side taller than that side,
think you get it done next 5 minutes?
Sure. That's just one of those deals when you make something custom, you want it to look right. So we'll go trace this out on another piece and bend it the right way. You know, I didn't have to do this. It looked pretty good the way it was, but I'd really prefer it to look right instead of looking like it was droopy on one side of the truck. What's the extra little 10 minutes just to remake it a little bit taller and make it look right? That's what it takes to do the job right, so just do it. How's that look, buddy?
That should do it.
Now you can see with a little extra time, now it all looks straight, matches the windshield real good. Now it's just time to weld the backside.
We're finishing up on the custom chassis and suspension on the 68 Ford Ranger. While we're doing that, John's getting going on the interior.
You know, the first thing that I saw when I walked up to this truck and I opened up the door and I looked inside was the instrument cluster. You know, that was something that stood out to me. Something about it, you know, the way they were set back and had the bar going across the middle of them. I'm going to take that idea and just kind of incorporate those lines and style cues into this door panel.
Take every bit of concentration and detail that we put into the big jobs. It's nice to sit back every now and then, take a deep breath and relax and make something like this. When we have our center bar, we'll have this separate from the door panel, so when this is all wrapped, we'll have all these lines still there instead of just one big blob. We'll make this trim ring removable and wrap it separately. That way it continues the lines that we're trying to keep in the door. So now we just take a little bit of body filler here. All right. So this is the factory door panel off the F100. So the next thing I'm gonna do, so I'm just gonna take my insert, get this thing mudded up, get it molded in, get it looking real good. Well, you know, we kept it nice and simple, so everything will have one nice cohesive flow. Now that I'm done with this, we'll have to wrap up the kick panels.
I gotta start using words like cohesive. Man, I like that word.
Cohesiveness?
Man, I like that.
You know, when you get bored and you want to read something, the dictionary is where it's at.
The back half of the chassis is mocked up with the correct wheelbase.
So I got the cross member in, got the height of the cross member correct where we need it at. Now we can start building the rest of the frame. This engine is so wide, I have to make sure I get the frame rails on the cross member wide enough for that engine to fit in there. I'll take the measurements off the frame, put them on the table, calculate what I need on this, and I'll I take what I built on the table and put it on the frame. The cross member side is 3 inches tall. The frame side is 4 inches tall. So what I'm gonna do is slice this down on one end and make a taper. And that's gonna give us a 4-inch by 3-inch tapered tubing. So now with that slice we took out of there, all we gotta do is get one of these, tap it down, we can weld that back out. Now we got a taper. Well, there you go. 4-inch going down to 3-inch. Now we can fit this in the truck. Now we got these pieces connected to the back half of the frame. We can continue on to the front core support mount. Oh no. Got a little damage on this front end here. This hole forward. This part should be touching this part. Look at the size of that gap. They did a repair to try to get this connected back to this, but they didn't pull it back to connect it. They just filled it in there. So I'm going to have to cut out this repair off that they did to close that gap up. Let's see if we can get this cut out.
Wouldn't you know it, John found some damage on the front end of the 68 Ford Ranger.
You know, whoever repaired this kind of had it figured out, but didn't put it back where it needed to be. We're about 3/4 of an inch off. This side's longer than that side. It has to be straight. So what I did is I hooked me a ratchet strap and I pulled it till we got this to touch. Now I pulled a measurement from the end of the frame to here, and we're right on the money. Now we can connect from here to there and tack it all in place. You ever work on a car, make sure you do it 100% because you never know what the next guy will find. There you have it. We got a complete frame, front to back. Now we're ready to put big end tires on the back for some traction.
It's going to be a fun one. The owner, Dave, come with the list for a 75 Bronco, and we've been checking them off. We upgraded the stereo with modern marine-grade speakers to hold up in any weather. We cut the back of the frame and scooted the bumper a little more forward.
This Bronco is really limited on space, so we got this cool little safe here. Keep your wallet, sunglasses, maybe gun.
You know, we've modified a ton of things to this Bronco, and it was totally worth it. I mean, you're looking at it now from the way it was before, the thing looks good. But wait, one more thing, Bronco is finally done. Today's the day we're going to give it back. You know, I'm pretty sure he's going to customize this truck for the rest of his life, but once he sees this thing, I know he's going to be blown away. What up, man?
Not much, man. How's it going, Bill?
Man, real good. Good to see you today. Good day for you?
Oh, man, it's a fantastic day.
You know, you came into the shop, you had a couple ideas, and, you know, the list are. You ready to see all these check marks?
I sure am, Bill.
Let's check it out. Adrian, bring it on in.
Wow.
Looks cool, huh?
It looks fantastic. Man, look at that top. When that car came over the hill, man, I seen that top. It's a one-of-a-kind. No Bronco's gonna have a roof like mine. Look at the scoop. That was a check off the list.
Right?
Wow. Look at those speakers, man. I can't wait to get in there and drive. Giddy up, let's go. This is exciting. Man.
Adrian, what's up, man?
What's up? What's up?
How's it going? You know, Adrian's new to the shop. He's been watching this thing being built, and, you know, he's a Bronco enthusiast. He just had to come down and drive this thing.
It's not like a Ford Bronco, is it?
Yeah, man, Broncos have always been my favorite.
Can't wait to get in it and drive it myself.
One of the first things you see when this thing's coming down the hill at you is that little air scoop, right? Grabs that air and forces it down into the engine. Not only does its job, it lets people know you got something a little more than factory under the hood, right?
Exactly. Gives it that room.
The next issue you have was that old half roof you had. It didn't look real cool.
Didn't look cool at all, but that looks like over the top, man. And the way you mounted the light, it all matches. It all comes together perfect.
Lets everybody know you got something cool and custom going on there.
You know, from the roof all the way sticking way out back. You know, John and Tim cut the back of the frame off and just sucked that thing all the way in, so it looks like it's supposed to be there now.
It's where it needs to be.
You know, that's the outside, but check out the inside.
Wow, man, you did hit it over the top.
Then you see new speakers up top. You got your 4 speakers in the back. The old stereo in this definitely wasn't going to cut it. But now, old Dave can drive down 80, 90 miles an hour and not have to worry about that wind noise. You can definitely hear this. And you finally got a place to put your gloves, too.
All right.
Lockable glove box, gun safe, lockable console. You know, your wife can put anything in there. You can put anything in the console and not have to worry about it.
Everything I'm seeing right now is just absolutely perfect. The roof, the lighting, the sound system. I can't wait to get on the road just to show it off. Man, it's fantastic. I can say she's truly completed now. But there's always another list.
You were just about to say that? I don't believe it. But as of right now, it's good.
I'm totally satisfied, Bill. You hit it right over the top.
Oh yeah, this is definitely not factory. This is why you can see all the screws underneath the bed. They're entirely way too long.
We're putting huge 24 by 15 inch wheels on the back of this 68 Ford Ranger. So Hugo's taking out the old bed floor. We're going to create an all new one with huge wheel tubs.
All right, so we got the bed on the truck. Marcos wanted a flat wood floor. So we built the substructure. The wood's gonna sit right on top of this. Next thing we're gonna do is put the bed sides on here. Then we'll be able to come in and put the wheel tubs, everything else through the middle of it.
Because it's a really big 24 by 15 inch wheel we're using on the 68 Ford Ranger, Tim and John are adding some custom wheel tubs and adding more support to the bed.
Basically what we're doing right now is making sure the side's straight because it's sheet metal, and where the inside of this bed is factory, it could be like this. I mean, it's 1968. So right now we're taking a little extra precaution to make sure that when we weld it, it should stay straight.
Once we get all these tacked in place, we can start fitting our tubs in. What I'm doing here is measuring from the center line inches that way, 15 and a half inches that way. Now I line that up there, and that's our cut line.
So in the back we're running a 24 by 15 inch wide. So to make that, we gotta make a tub that goes over a 24 by 15 inch wide tire. I'm gonna take a piece of chipboard and make me a template. Now we're gonna transfer this template to the sheet metal, roll it, put it on the tub. So what we wanna do is make this tub look like it's one piece, like it was never welded together. I'll jump around, tag it, and then grind it down. It'll look like one tub and it was never cut in half. Now you can start to see how big this tire is going to be. Look, this is a tire. This is a tire. Then we start the long task of welding everything in, which is going to take a while.
The guys did a good job making the wheel tubs on this 68 Ford Ranger. Lewis is going to add the color match wood right into the beds.
So this wood is hardwood, it's ash. It's a really good stain grade wood to work with. And we're doing stain work distance, so sanding is going to play a very important part. We want to make sure that we keep a nice, even pressure and consistent speed. All right, so now we're going to get this stain mixed up. We're going to use basically primary colors to match this leather that we have picked out for the truck. I actually make my own stains. You know, I eyeball everything. Some people might do this on a scale, but my grandfather's taught me since I was a young kid. We just start with our primary colors and kind of adjust from there. So you can tell we're starting to get to that orangish color that we're looking for. I'm gonna darken it up, throw a little bit of brown in it, see how close we can get to that leather. All right, let's see where we're at. I think we're close. Okay, I think think we're close enough now to where we can actually go ahead and start spraying it, and I can make my adjustments in the actual booth. We're a little light right now, so the beauty of this is we can keep going over it until we get a lot closer to this leather color that we're looking for. Badass on the truck. Hope Marcos likes it.
The hand-built chassis for the 68 Ford Ranger is back from powder. So now Tim and John are gonna put it together, make this thing a rolling chassis.
Want to check the engine on there first? That way I know how to run lines from there.
Let's roll.
All right, go up, go up.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand the amount of work when you build these new chassis, but the metal work's the easy part. Putting it flat on the ground like we're doing, you're limited in the amount of room, because steel to go in here, we have to put a bunch of brake lines, fuel lines, wiring harness, and a drive shaft. Everything's crucial. I mean, the exhaust is going to take up a huge part of this, so you can't get enough stuff close to the exhaust. It's going to get hot. You kind of got to pick your poison and pick out where you're going to put what first. And over time, we've just learned, placement of this or placement of that's worked best for us. So it was just all about space.
Looking good, Timmy.
Definitely looks different when it came in, huh?
Got you kicking ass on it for sure. Man, all the lines, everything looked real good. I mean, the hair line, the fuel line, it looks real good. Man, I love this wrinkled copper, especially with the...
Man, if you're happy with it, I'm ready to put it down.
Man, let's do this. John, one of the things I hate the most about custom work is, sometimes you run across a job that somebody else had already started and you run across somebody else's shoddy work.
I'm with you on that 100%. You're gonna sweep the floor, sweep it up right. Don't make your pile and then brush it under the table, under a toolbox.
That ain't doing it. Somebody's eventually gonna find it.
The first thing you do when a car comes in is look at the chassis, look at the suspension, and there's some stuff that I wish I've never seen.
Right.
And you have to fix that too. Man, that's just
snowballs and just
sometimes you don't like what you're doing, but you have to do them, and you have to do them 100%.
Even if the person knows no one's ever going to see it, or maybe no one ever will see it, they know. They know if the job's done right or not, right?
Yep. You know what you did, and we found it.
It's not every day we take a 68 Ford Ranger that's almost in perfect condition and make it even better. He's been building a garage for his cars, so he invited me over to come check it out, so I got a little garage warming gift for him.
Come on in. What you done, Bill?
Dude, this is a hell of a garage, Marcos. Marcos invites me into Car Paradise. This is every car guy's dream right here. One of the first things you do, you go down Lamborghini aisle. You got the McLaren, you got the Ferrari aisle. Man, leave it to Marcos to build a house for his cars, right next to his house. This is cool. This is just amazing.
This is phase 1. I'm doing phase 2. We got to add on that side.
Well, you know what? I got something that might fit really, really good.
What you got? You got a chair? You got a bar stool? Floor mat?
Oh, come on, man.
Oh, my God, Bill.
Coming outside and seeing that F100 for the first time.
That thing looks sick.
Right? You just can't go anywhere and buy one of these. He knows this is especially built for him.
Oh, my.
Is that low enough or what?
Dude. That thing is on the ground.
Late model 5.0 Coyote, supercharged. You're pushing about 750, 800 horsepower right now.
750, 100 horsepower on this thing, Bill? Wow.
It started out being a nice truck, right? It looked almost new. Right.
But your bar is set really, really high. And we got to come through every time. Old motor, old trans, old rear end, old everything rolled right out the shop. Totally started over. We started out building a new chassis, front to back, all new suspension. Every part of this thing underneath is all handmade. Big 24 by 9s in the front, 24 by 15s in the rear.
Nice.
2 big wide black marks wherever you go.
That's what I like. I like the black marks.
Marcos, you pop that hood, you see that wrinkled copper powder coat. It just ties everything in together.
You know, it's all about the little details. They make customs, different from anybody else.
That's it, man. Check out this interior, man.
Holy crap.
John and the guys really got down and, built the kick panels.
I see
wool
that.
Carpet in there.
Oh my God, look at the carpet.
Right? It looks good. Just ties everything together. Freshen up these door panels. Just brought in a little feel, but it looks custom.
The carpet, it was like, guys, you can see some of these cars that I got right here on my main cave. I don't even got the details that I got on this thing.
What do you think back here, Marcos?
Look at how wide these things are, dude.
This isn't just for looks either, Marcos. The wheel and tire itself is 16 inches.
Wow.
And to get this all the way on the ground, the wheel tubs come up that far. There's no exaggeration here. This is what you have to get this thing all the way on the ground.
It looks so smooth, so clean, like a piece of glass, like a piece of art.
Right? The wood that was in here, there was no saving that. We had to come in, put brand new wood. Still gives it that classic feel.
Right.
But that is nothing but custom.
It's amazing what you guys done on this thing, dude. I really appreciate that. The best thing about all this is that that it's all handmade. Every single detail that they did on this truck, it basically fits with that intention that it can make this thing one of the kinds.
You say you want a cool truck?
Oh man, this is it. That's exactly what I had on mine when I brought him to you, and basically you made my dream come through. I got really, really special place on my garage for
think every guy comes into work and busts their ass every day on Sunny Drive, makes things happen just like this truck right here, and I can't thank them enough. Put 24 15s in the back of this thing. John's gonna build a crazy interior. Check this out. We were a little fooled on this thing. What else it was doing before it got here? It doesn't matter. This thing is just gonna be a game-changing badass car.
Damn, Bill, look at that. Oh, man.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Because my shop sits on the same plot of land where I grew up on the north side of Houston, I feel like my neighbors basically grew up with us. Some of them even became a big part of our team like listeners. And today, we're giving a build back to a fellow Northsider.
Growing up as a little kid, I lived in the neighborhood. I would see all these cool trucks just drive by my house. First thing you talk about is, hey, have you talked to Bill? Have you gone to Extensive? Check out what they're building next. I saw this Ram. First thing in my mind was, I got to drive this over to Bill, lay it out on the floor, some big wheels. It's going to be awesome when it's done.
What's happening, man?
What's up? How you been?
Real good, real good.
I'm ready to see this truck, man. I've been excited about it since the day I dropped it off.
I know you have. The new Dodge, and that's the first time we ever got one in, with the new body style to put this thing on the ground. It definitely had some challenges, but this thing is nice, man. It's nice. So let's check it out.
Absolutely, man. Let's go. Oh, damn, Bill. Man, that thing looks sick. This thing's gonna turn heads no matter what.
This thing looks good.
This thing looks better than good, man. This thing is amazing. Golly, Bill. Man, that thing sits all the way down to the ground. Yo, I did congratulate yourself on this.
Hope you like your truck, man.
Man, it's a dream come true.
It's all the way to the floor like you wanted it.
Absolutely, man. That thing looks good. There's a ton of work in engineering that makes a vehicle to day in and day out. We tore out all the factory suspension and just started over. We built new control arms, new tooling.
That looks sick, man.
Big 26-inch billet wheels with this truck sitting low. It just changed the whole look of this thing,
man,
right?
It's stuck in that wheel like crazy, man. I'm surprised that you even got it that low for me, man.
A lot of work was involved to get this thing all the way on the ground like that. So everything on top of the wheel tubs all have to be relocated. So we went back and made nice brackets for everything. When you pop the hood, it looks like it came that way.
Yeah. Shoot, man, I'm gonna be dreaming like a kid tonight.
I got some good guys. You know, I didn't do it all myself. Lulu stepped up and really took charge of this thing, and he built most of the suspension components on this thing and installed it, man.
Bringing it to you guys here at Extensive, I knew it was in good hands.
Were you ready to ride?
Absolutely, man. I want to get this thing on the road.
Well, man, have fun with this thing.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it very much, man. You and the team. Appreciate it, man.
Have fun. Let us know how it does. The north side has been good to Extensive. Of course, we take pride in every build that rolls out, but it means a little something extra when you see that build driving around the neighborhood. We just picked up a 1996 Impala for our customer of ours, Pete, and today he's coming by to figure out exactly what we're going to do to this thing. What up, Pete?
What's going on, Bill? How you been?
Man, good.
So you picked it up, huh?
It's a cool car, man.
Yeah, it is, man. It is.
The 1996 Impala was the car back in the 90s. Even today, they're highly sought after. Part of the appeal of this thing is it came with a small block LT1 V8, which packed a lot of power back in the 90s. I know you've been dreaming about this thing for years and years.
Yes, sir. I've been wanting to bring you a car for so long. I was about 8 when the car first came out. Just loved them. Everybody had them in my neighborhood. You kind of like grow up loving the car that you loved in your childhood.
So what do you want to do with this thing, Pete?
Really want to make this car a game changer. I want to have the baddest Impala out there.
You know, that's why you're here, right?
Yeah.
These cars have been around for, 25 plus years, and, people have been customizing them for 25 years. Pretty much everything has been done to these things you can possibly think of, but I got a couple ideas. Of course, we got to get this thing really low to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
24s all the way around, but not just that. A 2415 in the back of this thing. Just a big with a low profile, wide billet wheel.
That's definitely going to stand out.
It's going to set this thing apart from every other Impala. To change the game, we got to change the frame. We're going to cut the frame off right underneath the back seat and build it from there all the way back to give these billet wheels plenty of room to go up underneath the body. Man, I love this car too in black. It fits it. So I just freshen up the paint, freshen up the bumpers, freshen up the lights, the hood. Let's get rid of that cow hood, man. That was a rage, 20 years ago, but we can't have that now.
Yeah, I know it.
Inside, no interior to this thing.
Yeah, well, I ripped it out a while back. Had plans for it and just really never put it back in. I was thinking we're doing something one of a kind on the outside, but why not do something special, fully custom on the inside?
Man, I got the guys for that.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
John and his guys will really get in this thing and just build you something just totally cool.
90s foundation, but with that 2021 look.
There you go, man. This thing's definitely going to be a game changer.
That sounds great, Bill. Let's make it happen.
This Impala was the car. This was every kid's dream back then. But now, years later, these kids are all grown up and want to go back and purchase their dream, going to be Pete's dream car. There's nothing cooler than that, to build someone's dream and to be able to present it to them. Pete wants to change the game with this car, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of most of the 90s modifications like the cow hood or like embroidery in the door panels. Just bring in the new style, the new look. The name of the game is starting fresh.
Already getting started, huh?
Yeah. Easy work right here.
Man, I've always liked these big body Impalas. Pretty much everything's been done one of these 100 times over, right?
Yeah, they kind of seem to look the same.
Oh, Pete, he wants a game changer on this thing, so we're going to do something different that I've never seen before.
This is never a good sign. This equals a lot of work.
Always a lot of work. All right, first things first, let's get the rear end out of this thing, the exhaust, gas tank, and just cut the frame off, the front and back wheels back. We'll build a subframe, and then we'll tie it into the factory existing frame.
Okay.
And then we're going to incorporate air suspension in with it also.
Oh, wow.
We're going to put 24 tires, so it's going to be
That's a lot of tire.
So we're bagging this on the ground with a 16-inch wide tire.
The rear is going to be what, about this wide?
Yeah, pretty much. Ooh. You see this thing parked somewhere, it's going to make you pay attention, right?
Definitely.
Totally change the game with this thing. Narrow the rear end, super narrow to accommodate and get really low to the ground.
We're going to tub this thing all the way over to here and tub this one all the way to here. You can delete the whole back seat.
John and the guys in the interior, I'm sure they'll come up with something cool to fill in that little space there. We already got a little head start. There's no interior, so we can just get right to cut. If you're going to have a Impala, you got to have a black Impala, right? Just keep it black. This thing's a 96 model, so it's showing its age, of course. So we want to go through the outside of this thing, freshen up the bumpers, new grille, the lights, make this thing look good. Ready to do this? Good. That's it. Tim and Jamie are tearing the suspension out and cutting the frame right behind the back seat all the way to the bumper. So we can build a whole new subframe that'll hold these big old 24 by 15 inch tires. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3. That's your rear frame. Before we make room for the big wheels, Julio's going to take out the rear glass.
We got to lose a couple of bolts that are touching the glass. After that, we're going to start cutting on the glass. This is not supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be an easy job. Whoa, look at that. Mr. Bill, I need to show you something real quick. I think I know why they're giving me a hard time. They put Bondo over it.
We were a little fooled on this thing. Back in the day, Impalas were out of reach for a lot of people, but we could get an old cop car for a third of the price you could for Impala. Just do whatever you got to do to get this out of the way, and we'll take it from there. Somebody obviously took a Caprice and tried to make it into Impala. Caprices were pretty much the exact same body style with very subtle differences. And one of the differences was the back quarter glass. The Caprice had a big triangle back glass, then this on the back. Caprice, Impala, shoddy craftsmanship, to say the least. Every build has a story to tell. Of course, some stories are just way more interesting than others. Oh, man. That's definitely a bullet hole. In 10 minutes, we found out this thing isn't a real Impala, and it's been in a shootout. But that's not the only one in here.
Bad part or bullet hole?
Both. No telling what else we're going to find when we start cutting on this thing, right? It's never fun giving a customer bad news. But old Pete, he thought he was bringing us the car of his dreams. That 1996 Impala, but what he brought us was Impasta, a 1996 Caprice that looked like an Impala. I gotta break the news to him. Pete, what's happening?
Hey, what's going on, Bill? How's the car coming along?
We did run across a couple things I wanted to run by you. That's why I wanted to talk to you this morning.
Oh.
Yeah, we were picking at some bodywork, and one of the things uncovered not only a bullet hole in it.
I found a bullet hole in the car? Created that.
You know it. We also dug a little more, kept digging, and found out your car isn't an Impala. It's a Caprice. Somebody converted it made it look like Impala when it's really a Capri.
No, that was the thing back in the days. Everybody was converting them Caprices to Impalas.
Right. Before we got any deeper in your car, I just want to make sure you're cool with that.
Of course, I prefer to have an Impala, but in this case, I don't see that being a reason to stop this.
You know, I totally agree. No matter what it is, Impala, Caprice, it doesn't matter. This thing is just going to be a game-changing, badass car.
I already know.
This thing's going to be way better than before. And the way better than before version gets really, really low on those big 2415s. Building a subframe just on the back of this car. So from the ground up to where the tires would bottom out with the air suspension, and then back down to catch the back of the bumper. 13. You know, so we got our side profile measurements. Only thing left to do is drop this thing down, get some levels out on each side to know exactly how wide the body is. What's up? Dude, look at this.
No way.
You know we found the bullet hole, right?
Oh, man, that's a slug from it, huh? Damn. I wonder how long that's been in there.
It's like a 9mm.
Man.
Well, we're hating been in the back seat.
It's been shot at. I wonder what else it was doing before it got here.
There ain't no telling.
Right?
Let's hold the level on the other side of the body.
Okay.
I'll hold it on this side. We'll get our measurement of exactly how wide this body is. Then we know how much room we got to work with. Right in the middle of the fender well.
Uh-huh.
When you let all the air out of this thing, it's going to drop way, way, way low. Basically, the tire is going to sit in the window jamb itself, so we can't be off an 1/8 inch. You don't want to have the tire rubbing the body, and then you'll have a big paint blister where the paint was heated up from the tire rubbing. This is 75.5. We got our outside dimensions established, so now we're going to come in from our outside dimension to where exactly the tire is going to sit, and we'll come in 2.5 inches. And we know with a couple subtractions exactly how wide this frame needs to be. That's what we got. The frame needs to be 35.5 inches wide. We're going to be putting 24, which is huge for anything, much less a, Impala. This thing is wide. So that is outer part to where the wheel mounts, 12 inches. To fit those big old 24x15-inch wheels, Jamie has to shorten the axle.
First thing I need to do is go ahead and drain the rear end before I start pulling anything else out. It's really important to keep all of the pieces right here together because there's shims in there. You don't want to misalign those shims because you'll start rubbing and wear your ring and pinion out. That's what I like to do, so I know I don't mix each side up, is I'll make a punch mark. 3 on this side, 2 on this side, so I never get mixed up. So next thing I gotta do is go ahead and pull this bolt. It's gonna release this pin right here. Once I pull this pin, then my axle should slide right out. So the clips right there is what holds the axles in the housing. A limited slip differential is basically lets both axles move freely so you're able to turn corners without the tires chirping. Burp, 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 burp. Now this is out, so I'm gonna take out 8 inches on each side. I'm scribing the rear end to make sure it goes back perfectly the way it was. So scribing it like that, I can line up my mark to make sure the brake rotors are exactly clocked the same way. So this is my last cut. Took 8 inches out both sides. Go ahead and bring it over the next side. Go ahead and weld it out. It's going on basically just like it came off, minus the 8 inches. I got everything squared up, lined up with my scribe mark. Basically, if this was out of whack, that would mean your axle would be crooked in there. That could wear out the bearings in here, the seals on the outside. So it's really important that this is perfectly straight. Everything's smoothed out. You can see my welds. Don't even look like they were over there before. Looks like it came like this from the factory. It's perfect. Our frame is going to be made out of 2x3 rectangle tubing, and we're going to lay that out on the table right here in exact measurements.
Let's see what we got here. 45 degrees. Once we have our frame laid out on the table, we're gonna make templates with our chipboard. Then we can take our templates right over to the saw. Bam, Timmy, it works good. We cut it one time and one time's on the money.
Now we have all the puzzle pieces cut for this frame. They line up right with the lines we made earlier. Now we have them all cut. They have these little birds on them here. What you do is come back, clean them birds off. We'll put a little bit of bevel on each side, so it'll make like a valley for the weld to sit in. What that does, it'll let the weld penetrate all the way through, and you won't have a bunch of welds sticking up on top. It'll actually bend down into the metal, make it look smooth, and be a good, real clean weld that gets all the way through.
Timmy did a great job fitting everything together. Everything looks 100%. That's exactly what we want. The gaps to fit perfect, beveled, nice, smooth, 45 degrees. You know, starting out with a good foundation, always 100% key. You know, I've been welding a lot of years. So is my dad, so is my grandpa. My welding pedigree goes way back. Owning a custom car business, you know, gets a little monotonous dealing with phones, emails, paperwork. All that really gets in the way of my true and creating. You know, that's what I love to do, and that's what I'm going to do till I'm not around anymore. You know, Timmy, even though this thing turned out being a Caprice and not an Impala, putting these big old wheels underneath that car, it instantly becomes cool, right?
That might even be better than it's a Caprice. There's some cool Impalas out there. How many cool Caprices have you seen out there?
No doubt. If you're a Caprice owner or if you're an Impala owner, you're going to be envious of this. Keegan, you ready for the day?
Yes, sir.
You know, as much as I achieve personally, there's nothing better than riding to work with my son, Keegan. He pretty much grew up around the shop. He has his own hopes and dreams, but he's coming to the shop with me a couple days a week, you know, just like my dad did for me. You know, you're out of high school now, going to college, just coming in day here and there.
Yeah, I'm really glad to, you know, finally do something instead of, of course, wasting my days away at home.
Hard work ethic, that's what I want to pass down to him. You're learning getting up every day, using that fire down in your chest. Set a goal, see it through all the way to the end, and do a good job.
No cutting corners.
No, sir. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Job one around here is making what the client wants. So we're going to turn this 96 Caprice right into the Impala that the owner wants, plus some. We cut the floor, installed a new custom subframe, and mocked up the suspension. So now Jamie's going to build the wheel tubs to fit those big 24 by 15s.
So you can see how big these tires are. It's a lot of wheel. In order to get this all the way up inside the wheel well, we're going to have to cut a lot of this wheel well out. So basically, I'm going to bottom this out. We can actually see what we need to cut out inside of the car to bottom this big wheel up in there. Okay, so you can see I'm using this wooden block to kind of give me a guide right here. Just a quick little trick that I use just to trace out the wheel well to get the same dimension as the wheel here. I'm using an 1.5 inch block because I have an 1.5 inch space in between bottoming out on my rear end. That's my little step to get it in there. I don't want to overcut anything. Okay, so I got these spaces right here, basically 1/4 inch between my tub and my wheel so it would never rub. I'm go ahead and set my wheel tub on top. Got them mocked up exactly where I want to put them. We'll go ahead and pull these big old wheels off and pull my sheet metal to the edge of the body. Woo. So you can see the size of these tubs, the length of my arm. What I need to do is go ahead and add sheet metal to my tub to bring it out to the body. Just keep adding piece by piece, trying to get my rear quarters in first, then I'm gonna walk all my sheet metal this way, and then I'll tie in the rest on the rear tub. I chose to do it this way because trying to do this in one piece would be pretty time consuming, so I'm gonna go with quick and efficient.
While Jamie's finishing up the rear tubs, John's gonna get going on the custom door panels.
All right, looking at this door panel, it only has one line on it that I really like, and that's the separation between the top piece and the bottom piece. We're gonna keep this piece that matches up to the strip it, cut it up, and work off of that to make the whole bottom completely new. Step 1, cut it. Step 2, make it better. We're actually gonna layer this up, make this 2 different pieces, put some lighting in it. All right, so I got all my pieces made. Start stacking it up. What we're gonna do with this piece of acrylic, we're gonna inset it in here so that all you're gonna see is just this top edge of it here. It'll all be covered up. We'll have the LEDs buried up inside of here. It's just to give us a little detail in the door and light it up. Got them all stacked up, so the next thing we gotta do, body work, is sit down and start sanding. Pretty much, we body work more than a body shop.
I don't move very often. I just sit here and do several hours a day, body working days at a time. I have no fingerprints left. This is what I do.
While Brian's over there in his world of bodywork, doing his thing, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the bottom half of the door. I'm gonna start by making this base panel. Then from that base panel, we'll take our baffle and build that up from there. Get that chip out. All the door panels are laid up, everything's ready to go. So the next step we're gonna do, start laying fiberglass. After this, we go straight into bodywork.
Them wheel tubs come up high, huh? Man, they are right there underneath the windows. That's a lot of tire to fit in there, but
yeah, man. We're making good progress at turning this 96 Caprice into a one-of-a-kind Impala.
You know, John's gonna build a crazy interior in this thing, and it'd be real cool to be able to have the whole interior flow all the way back and have all this open. How are we gonna do that? We cut this out, and John can build out all the way around it. You can see the enclosure. You'll be able to see all that nice and open. I don't think I've seen that before. It's going to be cool, man. There's nothing structural about it now, and so cutting this out is not going to affect anything. Just cut right on this line right here. Okay. And let's get this totally all the way to the hinges. There won't be another Impala like this. Nah, definitely not. So Bill just walked by and just glanced at this and just got an idea. It's pretty cool how he's able to just do that.
Removing the metal underneath the rear glass means you'll just see all the way into the trunk. All the custom box, speakers, amps, everything.
That's pretty cool, huh? It is. I think we cut even more. Just cut this out. Yeah? I mean, the glass is right here, so yeah, plenty of lip. Might as well make it to there.
You know, I'm always pushing myself just to see what would make a build even better. It's definitely a blessing and a curse because it always adds time we don't have. But man, I don't want it any other way.
Looks good. I'm actually glad we ended up doing this. Just looking at it right now, it looks so much better. It's unique. I'm really excited about this car.
We finished the suspension and metalwork on the 96 Caprice. Before we roll it into interior, Keegan and I are going to get on this exhaust.
What's up? The last thing we got to do before this thing goes over to the stereo shop is exhaust. So you can help me do that and get you a little experience under your belt. Sounds good? This is cool. This is the lowest point. This shaft is not going to come any lower this way. We can put the muffler as high up as we can, super close to the drive shaft, and we're good.
I've been working here ever since I can remember. I've become really good at sweeping up floors and cleaning up around the shop and making it somewhat clean.
We have to go around this transmission mount here and then go all the way over and tie straight into that. We'll use this to give us a little angle instead of just eyeballing it.
It's always cool learning and working on stuff like this, putting this exhaust together with my dad. It finally gives me a little experience under my belt.
This is what the angles we need here. Bend that, it should fit right on the money. You know, it's pretty cool to have my son up at work. Maybe pass down a couple things that my dad passed down to me. Stay on this side of it till the last minute when you can just reach over. Don't put your body on this side of the blade. It's a good feeling to be able to teach him a few things while he's here. If we build it in, that should fit on that perfect. Even underneath here, something simple as exhaust, you still want it to look good and be proud of what you do.
Of course. You wouldn't want to have a nice, beautiful car on top, and as soon as you put it on the lift, it looks trashy.
You did that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to work with your dad. Okay. He does that and he's tight. You know, I used to hate working with my dad sometimes because we get into it a lot. Always thought I knew a better way to do it, which did. Man, that'll work. Got a nice little flow to it. Everything's tucked up underneath here. You know, the last little bit is just coming out of the muffler around, and then we'll dump it right here.
Oh, cool. So you're actually not going to see them at the back of it.
That's all it needs on this. And still have a real nice tone to the exhaust, too. You know, the closer you have the muffler to the end of the pipe, the more of a throaty sound. You know, this thing is super tight, so there's no way to really bend what we need to bend and make it clean looking. So what we'll do is use these mandrel bent pieces, and we'll chop out what we need and just build it piece by piece. I'm not going to force anything on him. If he loves doing this, cool, but I just want him to come to work and learn a skill. Look at that. Little jobs like this teach him discipline, work ethic, that experience he can use, you know, for the rest of his life. Cut that one. This is going to be on the very end of the exhaust. Saw that, and then just make the identical right here. Everything's all mocked up, looks good. Everything's tucked up underneath there. Has a nice flow to it. You did good today.
So that's it. Thank you.
Now it's up to John and Brian to hand build that custom interior.
Back again to my shop. Straight up. Straight.
So here's my thought, man. What if we did 313s right here, mount them far enough back? It'll still give us the idea of that depth back into here, but we're going to have to utilize every bit of airspace. So the box is going to have to be modular. The idea to really make this thing a game changer is to cram as much bass in this trunk as humanly possible. So we're shooting for about 11 cubic feet of airspace to give us the proper output and a smooth bass response. Oh yeah. That's going to be pretty impressive from this side, man.
That does look kind of good.
I'm thinking, let's do a window in the top of this thing. Right in the center, just something small, just so you can see a little bit of the motor structure in there, because the back of these woofers is going to be just as impressive as the sound on the front of them. But why not have windows in the back so you can see what's going on inside and show off a little bit of your hard work? Our pieces are probably going to have to be as wide as the bracing to hide the screw. So from the side, when you're looking, you don't see a screw sticking down through your acrylic. You can't just cut a hole and screw a piece of plexiglass to it. It takes a little bit more work than that. You got to have trim around it. You want to make sure it's nice and clean and neat. Short. We'll get that centered up, get that attached. If you're ready to start putting the top together on this box, we'll get all the rest of the pieces made on the back of this thing, man. We'll be good to go.
body on this 96 Caprice gives us plenty of room to build a badass, crazy interior.
We got the box in place. So what our next step is to make all the side panels and trim in over the wheel tubs and over all of the structure for the trunk.
Got some panels.
Do they fit?
I don't know. Probably not.
Oh. What we're doing right now is we're just going to get the base structure in place. Once we get the base structure in place, from there we'll take chipboards down to the wheel tub. That way it'll all be one big panel that'll slide out together. If everything was planned out properly and Brian did his part right.
Why are you going to blame me for it all?
Better you than me. We got all our pieces in here, all of our chipboards done. So now we're going to go in and reinforce everything with some fiberglass and some resin. Once it's dry, we can pull it out, and this will actually turn this all into one panel from the top all the way around the wheel tub. Get it body worked on top of that, and then we'll see if it comes out like a glove. Watch. You broke it.
Not yet.
Well,
I forgot to put it in there.
You didn't have to redo it. Oh, look at that.
Oh, look at that.
So what I'm seeing is we got to put all this in before they put the glass in. It'll go in from the front side. These panels worked out good. I'm glad they came out and didn't break. We don't have to fix anything.
Yeah.
So all we have left to do is everything else.
When this car was made, the defining difference between a Caprice and Impala was that side quarter glass. We cut out a couple of pieces from an old Impala quarter skin so we can turn this Caprice.
So I got a piece from another Impala. It's actually the proper window piece. Something that I need to pay attention to is a gap right here on the door for the window. So making sure this is in the proper place is very key. I'm trying to take this thing apart as easy as possible. So I cut out my panel. It's loose in here, but the spot tacks are still holding it. So I'm just going to lightly chisel in between to separate the panels. All right. I have these lines marked right here because my window's got to fit right here in these holes. So I need to make sure that it's on the money. Really what I'm focused on is this body line right here. Looks good. I'm going to put a few tacks on it. Fit my window, make sure my window's good. This piece is exactly where I want it. My gap's even all the way down. That's money, man. We'll go ahead and continue welding this out. Kind of spread my heat out evenly so I didn't get any kind of warpage in this panel because that could happen real quick. Okay, so you can see we went from Caprice to Impala. Got the panel welded in there. Everything's ground down. Everything looks good. So now all we got to do is take care. First thing I got to do is go ahead and just cut out the metal around this hole. Believe it or not, this is not the first bullet hole I've patched in cars. I worked at body shops, restoration, stuff like that, and I've seen some older cars, you know, like Bonnie and Clyde, that have had bullet holes riddled in them. You know, it's still the real Wild West out here in Texas. So you see, got the bullet hole out finally. Got my other piece already made for it. Same radius. Same. Gonna make that bullet hole disappear. Take it to the metal doctor. Okay, so I got the bullet hole taken out, new metal put in, spray for a little body filler. Chain Master, Texas.
With the bodywork being finished, this thing looks even better than a 1996 Impala. Edgar's painting it in a classic gloss black. Over in the interior, John and Brian are wrapping up all their hand-built parts in black vinyl and blue suede.
We have a good contrast of materials in here. We've got soft vinyl, shiny vinyl. We've got our suede. We got a lot of depth and some dimension to this. Check this out.
Let's see.
Oh, that with the lights down in the bottom pocket of the door,
in the console,
in the trunk.
It's gonna look like a UFO at nighttime.
Just a big black UFO with blue lights coming at you.
I'm clear over here.
Come down, and then back. Now Now that that's in, it's just a matter of following the puzzle and putting the pieces together, get all three of the sub-amps in it. There's a glare coming off the top of this thing up here.
Must be nice to have a whole head full of hair.
It is. There's a little over 10,000 watts going in this car, so this thing ought to scream.
I never met my grandpa, but hearing my dad talk about his dad and how hard he was on everyone to get up, go to work, he definitely passed that down to my dad, and I'm definitely passed it down to him. You know, a lot of times I hated getting up, going to work with him, but now, you know, I really, really do appreciate, you know, my dad showing me the ropes. That's one of the reasons why I make your butt get up and come to the shop and, you know, learn.
Constantly learning, constantly getting better at anything you do is really important. No matter what it is, either sweeping the floors or working on my dad, I've definitely taken it no matter what I do.
Not only did my dad teach me a craft, but he also taught me how to be successful. You know, maybe one day he'll be able to pass down the tools for success. You know, put your mind to something, accomplish the goals, and do it right the first time. We don't want no kids anytime soon.
Yes, I know. I know.
Grandpa, yeah.
I know.
A long time coming. Pete's been dreaming about this Impala since the 90s, and today his dream is gonna come true. Pete said you wanted something cool, wanted to set this car totally apart from all the rest. I think we did our job most definitely. We changed the Impala game.
What's up, Pete? Oh, nothing much, Bill. How you doing?
Man, all right.
Got that call from this morning. You sounded pretty excited.
Yeah, man.
Can't wait to see it.
That car came in, it was hurting. We were throwing for a little loop, you know, halfway through the build, finding out it was really a Caprice and not an Impala. But where we're at now, it doesn't matter. Caprice, Impala, you just got one cool-ass car.
Let me see it, Bill.
Let's
Come
check
on.
it out.
Hey, where's it at? Come on with it. Damn, Bill. Look at that. Oh, that. Golly. Look at them big old wheels. Damn. That's exactly what I wanted. Look at them 15s. They all the way in there, Bill. Man, when I saw that thing go down and just swallow up that back wheel, that thing looked ridiculous.
How we do, Pete?
I mean, I'm still trying to pick up my jaw, man.
First thing you see, man, those huge wheels sitting low to the ground and the 2415 on the back of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
In order to get it all the way down, we cut the frame off right by the back seats. It's all new underneath there. Air suspension, narrow the rear end. This thing, a ride and drive better than a brand new car.
Didn't doubt, Bill. But I seen it as a heck of a project, but he did it. I've never seen anything like that before.
We went through this thing front to back. New bumpers, new light lenses, new everything. Clean, man.
Clean. That all blacked out look with the billet wheels just sets it off. And I love the idea of taking the emblems off. I mean, to me, it's not even an Impala anymore, Bill. It's a 2021 SS.
Somebody ask you what it is, that's what you're going to tell them.
That's what I'm going to tell them every single time.
And what was in there was just tired. Yeah. So I just said, John, here, Pete wants this thing one of a kind, and he wants it loud.
We got a total of 5 amps in this thing.
Wow.
Just on the subwoofers alone, there's over 7,500 watts. When it comes down the road, it's going to be quaking. Brian got down with the custom door panels on this thing, really went over the top. We have an 8-inch, a 6-inch, and 2 Pro tweeters in each door.
You turn this thing up, it will actually literally hurt you.
Yes.
I don't know if I want to drive it first or hear it first.
You can do both of them at the same time.
So all that's going on in there, check this out.
Oh, man. What?
Rear deck is gone.
I see that.
Bill cut out the whole deck back here. We got it all tubbed out. We got the clean lines running the door panels, all just flowing to the back of the car.
Got it stair step down on those acrylic pieces with the lights shining in through. So when this thing is going down the road at night, it's got a blue glow coming out of it. Looks like a spaceship coming at you.
It already looks like a spaceship on the outside.
Check this out.
Oh, man. What'd you do? Put a motor back here?
That's the engine to your sound system right there, man.
We touched every inch, front to back.
Man,
Is that crazy enough?
I'm in love, Bill. Love at first sight. Thank you, guys, man. This is everything I could have dreamed of and wanted.
Lee killed it. Looking in this car, seeing all that blue, black, the lighting, the crazy stereo. I've not seen another Impala like this. Awesome. And still be able to haul all his other trucks. We're making one of the longest frames we ever made. New, huge 4-link and incorporate the gooseneck hitch in. We can top the line. This 57 Chevy Bel Air Pro Mod is pretty rare to see one with a diesel in it.
Approximately 3,000 horsepower.
It looks like it's been an accident. The hood of that thing, man, is rough.
It had an exhaust leak out of the side right here.
We were just getting made fun of in the pits. Just needs a little bit of TLC. Oh my gosh, bro!
Freaking big car. I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
You know, it gets a little intense around the shop, so we've had dogs around. You know, Timmy confiscated Blue, so, you know, I decided to take my daughter, Presley, off to the pound to go get a new shop dog. What's up, man? How you doing? Hey. What you think, Presley? He's good size, huh?
Yeah.
I think we ought to get him out, check him out.
Yeah, me too.
He's a little skittish, but
Yeah.
he'll be all right.
Yeah, I think he's a good shop dog, but I had my eye on one that I want to take home too.
You know, we got enough at home right now.
I mean, there's always room for one more. It's okay though.
I think we found our new shop dog.
Yeah.
Come on.
Butch.
Like Cleve or something.
Oh, Butch.
Cleve?
Butch. Come on.
You know, I always get excited seeing a new project roll in. You know, you always hear talk on the phone, hey, I'm going to bring you this, I'm going to bring you that, but, you know, it's never real until the project actually gets onto the property. And seeing this thing backed up, home, ready to get going. Made it, huh?
Yes, sir. So what you gonna do to this thing?
Man, I don't even know yet.
No?
I guess I'm going to have to get with the owner and really see what's going on, right? I was expecting a new dually. I didn't realize it was a brand new dually. You know, it's a beautiful, beautiful 2020 GMC Denali dually. One of my personal favorites, just seeing a dually come in. You know, he's got the right idea.
It's gonna be nasty.
Man, I appreciate it, man.
Let me know what's done, bro.
You got it.
All right, bro.
This 3500 Denali dually was shipped from the owner in Kansas City with a top-of-the-line 6.6 turbo diesel. It's a good-looking truck. It's a beautiful truck. You know, I can't wait to talk to him to really see what we're doing to this thing. It's going to be a great, great project. JD, what's happening?
Yeah, hey, what's going on, Bill?
Another day in paradise here at Extensive.
Oh, yeah, always.
Man, we got a big white GMC dually outside with your name on it. What's your idea here?
I'm thinking to lower this one. Set it on the ground. I love dualies. I've had one for years. I've always lifted them.
You know, I just love a big four-door dually with 6 28-inch wheels all the way around this thing, flat on the ground, with an addition of air suspension.
You know, I'm ready to shock people when they see this thing.
Yeah, I've never seen one of those sitting on the ground. Never even heard of anybody.
But, you know, to slam one.
JD, you're in the right spot for sure, man.
See, I'm excited.
How are you going to be using this thing? You're just going to be cruising around every day? You know, are you wanting a tow hitch?
You know, we want to take it to shows, you know, kind of represent our company. We're actually towing two other vehicles to SEMA with this truck.
And that's gonna be quite the sight, seeing that thing coming down the road, pulling into Las Vegas. It's definitely gonna be a showstopper.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So we need to incorporate a gooseneck hitch in to the framework and the suspension itself at the same time, so you can actually work this thing.
Yes.
Man, that's gonna be cool. That's gonna be cool. We'll be building new tubular control arms and a new huge 4-link for the back of this thing. and incorporating the gooseneck hitch in so you can tow whatever you want to on the back.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, as far as like the exterior of the truck, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, I was thinking leave it all white, get rid of all the black trim, the black mirrors, do a color match.
That's the way the factory should have made these things.
I want it to be loud.
Now you're talking. This thing is already top of the line, everything in the interior, but we can definitely top of the line. This is going to be a sought after vehicle for people to look at SEMA show. When we pull it in on the lift, we know we're the first ones to cut up underneath this thing. That's a lot of work coming up, man, but we're going to make it happen for you.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate it.
You know, we always like to push the envelope. You know, everybody's waiting to see what the newest project's going to roll out. This is just going to show everybody what the latest and greatest is. We put a lot of dualies on the frame. We put a lot of dualies, you know, close to the ground. But this thing is going to be completely flat body on the ground. You know, just putting a brand new dually on the ground is going to have 1,000 challenges. But I want to create something just, you know, one of one. Something just totally unique that nobody's seen before and nobody's going to see again. Customer just dropped this thing off. New dualies look good.
They look real good in my driveway.
We're gonna put this one all the way on the ground.
So we don't need this no more, huh?
Yeah, probably not.
So frame on the ground.
Body on the ground.
Man, I always love when we put these dualies on the floor. They just look good. They look really good.
And not just that. Low.
Oh no.
He has a couple other show cars that he wants to tow with this. So hauling 2 cars needs a gooseneck hitch in this thing too. You know, the only way to achieve that on this truck, you already know. Old frame's got to go completely out and build a new frame bumper to bumper. And just cut off all the factory suspension. So you just bare frame rails with nothing factory underneath this thing. And we just start fresh, building control arms, you know, 4-link suspension, and incorporating big airbags in place of the springs and the torsion bars that are on the front of this thing.
So is that all we're doing, or is there more surprising?
There's a couple more. We're going to upgrade the speakers inside this thing. But, you know, we can definitely do better with some speakers outside this thing to really make it way louder and have the speakers actuate out and up so it just projects the sound even more.
Low and loud.
That's it.
Sounds just like the infomercial, man. Well, wait, there's more.
You know, on the body, on the outside of the body, you know, it has the black accents around. We're going to pull those things off, slick them down, paint them all body color to really make this thing look finished.
You're adding a whole lot to the plate on this one.
Let's get to it. Now these new trucks are packed with electronics. So teardown is a huge job on top of what already is a huge job. You know, it's super, super important for John and Tim to keep track of everything and where it came from.
Hey, what did this plug into?
That yellow thing on that little cover.
Huh?
The bender?
Did you say column boot?
It's a bunch of wiring that's going to have to be modified.
We're going to take all the wiring harness off the frame and relocate that onto the new chassis. And if one of them don't work, you're going to have problems. You know, taking a car apart, that's the easy part. Taking it apart with the thought that you got to know how to put it back together, you got to know what goes where, that's the task. The more thought you put into it when you take it apart, the easier it goes back together.
I would much rather work on an older car. You can eliminate that. Oh, I don't need that. I don't need this. New cars, you can't do that. For instance, one time, we were missing one little sensor on the back of a truck to work, such as AC, windows, radio.
Everything on here runs something. If you don't make a full circuit of that, half the stuff won't work.
You know, taking apart a new car is like taking apart a car and a computer at the same time.
These things will almost drive themselves, back themselves up, back a trailer up for you. But all that has to have a bunch of wires going through it to make it work.
I would still never trust that, though. I'd drive it myself.
We're gonna put the truck on the rack. Start disconnecting the rest of the wiring on it. I don't want to disconnect like an airbag and the battery be hooked up and then airbags start going off. We're putting a 28-inch wheel in there, and the wheel is gonna come up right to the top of this. Everything that's on top of the fender well here and on top of that side all has to be relocated.
Hey, Tim, how you want to do these brake lines?
Let's just get it out of there first. Man, the old trucks, you had to worry about fuel, spark. That's about it.
Where'd this go? Fuse? Box? The battery? Back.
Now, you don't plug this in, it ain't running right. You don't plug something else in, it throws a code, the truck goes in limp mode. We disconnected 857 things. 858 things. We're about to finally lift this thing off the chassis. The motor's like 3 foot tall, 3 foot wide, with miles of just wiring, hoses, electrical, computers.
We gotta fit all of that in a shoebox. We got your work cut out for you.
We.
Tim. There's only an I in Tim.
The owner of the 2020 Denali wants to drop this thing on the ground and still be able to haul all his other trucks. So like every other custom frame we built, we're going to make this to give him exactly what he wants. Wow, look at how far the bed hangs down on the sucker.
There's a reason you don't see too many of them all laying down.
That's it. You know, the center of our axle is pretty much going to be about right here. We're going to cut all this completely out and make room for that brand new frame, the big airbags, and the big custom hitch. I think we'll probably make this chassis out of 3x5x4 rectangle tubing. So this thing is super, super strong. So it can haul the weight he's planning on hauling with this thing. Let's get that measurement, you know, the wheelbase. That is 142 3/4. And then from the wheelbase back to the back of the frame, 40 1/4. Man, this thing's gonna be long. Now that we have a sketch, I asked Tim to lay out this super long frame with my template. And then he can cut it out.
You know, with this thing standing up, you really start to get the scope of how big this thing is.
We're looking for a frame that's as straight as possible. These have to be exactly parallel with each other, because if that's not right, when you go to do all your suspension and get measurements off the chassis, if the chassis is off a little bit, all your suspension is going to be off a little bit.
For 1/8 inch off.
If that's not right, nothing else comes out right.
You know, I'm all about helping someone. So when the Diesel family asked to borrow the toter, I can't say no. What's up, fellas?
What's up, Bill?
How you doing, bro?
What's happening, man?
This thing help you out?
Oh, yeah, big time, man.
Let's get this thing backed up. Get it.
We need you to look at.
I see the way they're looking. They're definitely up to something.
Yeah, we got a big surprise for Bill.
I think he's gonna love it.
You guys brought your Pro Mod? Man, what you want me to do with the Pro Mod?
Man, we knew you were the only person we let touch this thing.
Well, shoot, man, let's get it out. Let's see what you got going on.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
This thing's cool, man. It's a weird sound for a Pro Mod.
It's definitely one of a kind, man.
Right. This 57 Chevy Bel Air Pro Mod races in one of the fastest classes in drag racing. You know, it's pretty rare to see one running on a diesel engine like this one.
Originally, this car was Doug Winters. He raced that car all over the country for years and won many championships with it.
Yeah, we had the idea, was like, what would be the coolest thing ever? Saw this thing for sale, threw the cones in there, approximately 3,000 horsepower. I mean, killer setup. Just needs a little bit of TLC on the outside. This thing would be perfect, dude.
Yes, it will.
Man, you know, we don't normally work on race cars or build race cars here, but what are you guys thinking?
Well, you can tell we got quite a bit of body damage. And my thoughts were, get the engine in it, get it lined out, get it running good before we spend the money on making it look pretty in case we had an accident or something.
It looks like it's already been an accident. We want you looking good at the racetrack, man, for sure. So what we'll do, go through getting these gaps lined up and making this thing look presentable. The hood of that thing, man, is rough, huh?
It had a blown Hemi in it whenever we bought the car.
Yeah.
And that's why all that's cut out.
In this case, I'll make an exception for a cow hood. This is the only time I'm going to make this exception.
We don't have the room to not have that. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's not an option.
I think we need to update the wrap on it. I mean, it takes me back to the late 90s. It's like, dude.
Man, it was cool back then.
I mean, back then, yeah.
So you want to change it up, make it your own, and bring it up to date.
Yes, sir.
So let's check out under the hood of this thing.
Let's do it, man.
Man, you can't be having that.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about, man.
Come on, guys. I mean, everybody wants to see what's under the hood of this thing because it's making such a crazy noise, and you definitely don't want them looking at that.
I know, man. That's what I was thinking. We redo that exhaust, make it a lot easier for us to get in and out of the trailer.
Definitely, we got to get you hooked up with that, man.
So, Bill, you think you can handle all this?
Man, Tommy, I can definitely do that, but I've always wanted to do a big smoky burnout one of these things. Man, this old diesel will do that?
Oh, yeah, but you want to do it right here, right now.
Yeah, let's take it out.
Please move out of the way because we know when Bill gets in there, you know, they don't call him Wild Bill for no reason. I mean, this guy just cuts loose and everything. Get it up to 2,000 RPMs and hold it for 8 or 10 seconds. I gotta make sure he doesn't try to cut a donut in this one because, I mean, that might get out of hand.
This can go straight.
Hopefully it does. That's what we want.
Man, that thing's got some power, man.
I know, man. Right at 3,000 horsepower.
That's crazy, man. That diesel runs good.
Did it get it?
When we're all done with this thing, I get to drive it down the track now, right?
Yeah, man. Why not? We can let him make a pass.
Man, I appreciate that. Well, you already know, man. We'll get you hooked up with this, man.
Can't wait to see what you do with it.
Can't wait.
You, bro.
Looking closer at this car, man, it's hurt. It definitely needs some help. I can see why it's here, and we're going to help them. You know, the one-way diesel guys, the whole family, I love them. They're down for whatever I need help with. They're 100% down. And, of course, if they need some help with something, I'm 100% down. You know, I'm of expertise, but as metal work, welding, design work, that definitely is in our expertise.
Now, what is this thing doing here?
You don't see a Pro Mod too often in the shop, right?
Not all I've ever.
You definitely don't see one with the diesel in it.
Yeah, I noticed down the side this thing's got black soot all the way down the side.
Right. And it's just old and tired, and it needs our help.
So I wanted it to look as good as it runs.
Absolutely, man. As soon as you run this thing down the track, they come back to the pits, pull the front end off. People are going to want to know, hey, what's making all that black smoke? Let's see, man, this thing runs good. Sounds crazy.
That's what they see first?
They can't have that. We'll have Justin build a new exhaust system, something, you know, they can be proud of.
Yeah, you see Pro Mods all day long. You see the one at the track that's a diesel, they're going to want to come see what was in it.
Exactly. They can definitely be proud when they're in the pits with the front end off now instead of trying to stand in front of it and block them. You know, after we get the body all straight and smooth, we got to design something that's really, really unique, eye-catching, and it promotes our business. So what I want to do is peel off all the wrap and touch up all the body work, make this thing look really, really good, you know, nice and straight. And there's body pieces missing that we have to fabricate. I mean, you see the hood.
Looks like that hood's been through a couple different motors.
Yeah. The time putting a cow hood on something, you know, this is the exception.
You gonna drive it?
Hell yeah. You know, this is the first Pro Mod race car we worked on. And man, I love new challenges. It keeps us fresh. To kick off this build, Justin's going to replace this old exhaust with something way, way cooler and works a lot better.
First step is going to be to remove the downpipe. You can see it looks like it had an exhaust leak out of the side right here pretty bad. And the reason for that is because that flange wasn't able to mate to the back of the turbo like it should. And from that point, we're going to see what's the best way to cut this flange off because we're going to have to reuse this outlet flange. And then from there, we're going to take our new pie cuts that we have and basically build a 90-degree bend out of that. So with us adding the flex joints in there, it's going to allow this to pull flat against the back of the turbo and get a good seal. You can see right here where a lot of the black soot is. They had a lot of weld buildup. It was probably pretty difficult to make this weld, which was some of the problem. They tried to get in there with a grinder to get the clamp around it, but it wasn't enough to get a good seal. Plus, the amount of added heat that they put due to the weld caused the flange to warp because of how thin it is. So this table is a flat surface. So now that we have this flange 16th on each side, and that's one of the reasons why you were getting all that smoke blown out of the side.
It's no secret, I think some of the old ways are the best ways. You know, I just bought this big old lathe that's probably about 100 years old, and it's just in time. The old exhaust system on this Diesel Pro Mod race car had a leak. So Justin's going to use the lathe and machine a new seal for the exhaust.
So what we're going to do is try to true this up, make it where we have a nice flat finish again before we start welding on it. We can see machine marks all the way around the flange. That way we know that it's parallel to our chuck. We know that our chuck is flat. Once we flip this flange, these two faces will be parallel with each other. Well, you can see the gap in it now. Things like a potato chip. So if I stop it, you'll probably see the two marks 180 out from each other. What we're looking for is a clean finish like we have here and 180 out. We want the same thing, 360 degrees, so that we know that we got a full flat surface. Now you can see the difference. We know that it's flat now. Since this flange was originally smaller and they stuck a larger pipe on it, you have a separation between the two materials. So I'm going to weld on the inside to tie it in, and I'm also going to weld on the outside to tie it in before I put my 5-inch pipe over it. So I know it looks like a lot of time and effort is going into this little piece, but this right here is the foundation for what we're building off of, so it needs to be right. Now that we got this piece welded up with all the holes fixed in it, we're going to go ahead and tack this top ring on there, get it attached back to the turbocharger. So we're going to need 10 of these put together to get our 90-degree bend. But we need to get it to clear this tire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack another 5 pieces together. That'll put us at a 45-degree pitch to get it to come out this way. We'll do a straight run of pipe and then another 45 to get it straight at the bottom, and then from there we'll come out of our fender. When you're making pipes like this, it's a lot of figuring out. You kind of just start putting pieces together and kind of see how it works and then go from there. Right now I'm liking how it looks.
Dually, we're making one of the longest frames we ever made. So every quarter inch is really going to matter. Because in the end, we have to fit the engine, the wiring, all the computers back under the body. And now there's about to be even less room than what we started with.
What we're going to do now is center this axle in between the frame rails, front and back, exactly what we needed, so we can begin the mock-up process of the 4-link bars. The challenge here is we don't have a whole lot of wiggle room. It may seem simpler because it's a bigger truck, you think you'd have more room, but you gotta remember it's a dually. Our outside of the fenders of the bed had to be narrowed, I think it was 7 inches, so that brings the frame in a lot more. So we're very limited on space we could work with to build our heavy-duty 4-link for this big truck.
Booyah! I'm bending the DOM to make a cross member that'll clear the extra-large drive shaft. And that's what's going to hold the front of the 4-link bars. The truck's so long, and it's going to carry so much weight, we wanted to make something kick back, just to give it a little bit extra support and extra strength. So all that tube work is not only going to look good, but it's also going to function. So we want to make sure nothing moves at all. Because it is pulling a spaceship, pulling a battleship, pulling whatever else. So they all want to be able to tow the most they can tow. For this guy to be able to put a gooseneck trailer on it, go wherever he wants, whenever he wants, and tow all 3 cars.
What we got here is one of our 4-link bars set up with the axle tabs, frame tabs. What we're going to do is set this up on the chassis and on the axle. Get these tabs tacked in place. something like that. Typically, we would put a bolt here, bolt a nut, hold these two tabs onto this heim, set it on the bar, tack it in place. But we're gonna put a bar straight through both ends. That way we know these tabs will set perfectly in sync with each other.
John just wanted to say in sync.
That way, when you look at it from a distance, one won't look a little twisted than the other. You know, they'll all look symmetrical. And that's what we want, symmetry.
Starting to come together. Now the rear end fastened to the frame with the full length. This is the bottom mount. We're gonna make support off the rear end of this, and this is what all the rear of the truck rides on. But we're not gonna use it as a flat piece of flat bar. We're gonna carry the pipe tube work, the theme through the whole truck. And for the weight this guy's gonna be pulling, and the durability, and everything that truck needs to do, we just felt better making a connecting back bracket from side to side. It's gonna be super strong. And right now it's kind of ugly. When it all gets welded together, it's gonna look.
What's up, buddy? So you're the new shop dog, huh? You can come hang out in the trim shop anytime you want, buddy.
You usually know right away if a dog's a really good fit for the shop. And man, he's turned out to be one of the best shop dogs we've ever had.
Come on.
Ever since Cleve has came onto the shop property, he's kind of acted like he run the place in the nicest way possible. But of course, my kids love him too, so we'll see how long it takes before he's at home permanently.
Happy to be out of that pound.
You know, you can always buy a dog, but around here, we like to give a deserving dog a new chance. To be a show and go truck. Not only wants to win trophies, but he wants it to tow his other vehicles. So we're going to build an extra strong gooseneck hitch.
This is gonna be a support that's holding the whole trailer up. You know, we want to do something too to continue the pipe work through here. So we're gonna have a gooseneck ball, and then I'll start building the supports that go out to it. You know, even though we're making a show truck out of this truck, it's still gonna be a working truck. So everything we build here has to be stronger than from the factory.
That looks really good like this as is, but since we're gonna put a lot of weight on this part, which is gonna be the gooseneck hitch, I need a little bit more support just to be safe.
When this gets welded, it'll get welded all around. I almost make like a second gusset. You're for sure not going to be able to bend this thing with tongue weight because everything faces down. You have to collapse it all down at one time.
Well, I reckon them some pretty nice looking welds.
Man, we're finally at the stage where this massive chassis can go back underneath that dually. It looks cool knowing that all this started with just some flat rectangular tubing and a bunch of... Just set it down.
Man, this right here looks very strong.
Very rigid.
It definitely ain't gonna budge. You and John did a fantastic job on this.
Justin's almost done with the custom exhaust for the Diesel Pro Mod. Now he's just tying everything together.
We're going to go ahead and build the detachable piece that comes out the fender. The purpose of this V-band assembly that we're going to run is while they're trying to load them up in the trailer, you got this big pipe sticking far out and it doesn't allow enough clearance. So with the V-band, it'll allow him to remove the exhaust off the side of the car before he loads it up so it's not sticking out the side. So instead of leaving this pipe hole where it's going to throw all the exhaust gases out on the side of the car and get all the black soot on it, what we're going to do is we're going to cut it up in here. And it's almost going to be like a teardrop shape by the time we get it finished cut. Then we'll go ahead and clean this up with a grinder for a little bit before I put it on the car. File is more of a real sharp, defined edge all the way around it and like kind of true it up a little bit. Now, not only does it look better, it'll perform the weight of the car on. It's going to come to about right here. They'll be able to reach into the fender, take this clamp loose, and to remove this tip off before they load it in the trailer to make it easier for transport.
Before we can start on the bodywork on the Diesel Pro Mod, the old wrap has to go.
So we gotta come in here, we gotta heat it up nice and evenly. Can't heat it up too much, it'll mess up the fiberglass, it'll warp it. As you heat it and you pull it, it'll start stretching. If you don't take your time, you can peel that fiberglass and it just creates a lot of body work for the guy. You never know what you're gonna find when you start pulling off some old wraps from the 80s, 90s. People did things a little different back then. Such as right here, there's a big massive hole no one would ever even know about. But if we ever got a race car in like this that didn't have the problems, the owner's not driving hard enough. They're not out there doing what it's made to do. It's not a trailer queen, it's a race car.
Honestly, I'm just really take my time and make sure every little nook and cranny and crease has been peeled away and cleaned. I put up with those two all day, every day, so I definitely have to have patience.
Needs to be cleaned up a little bit, and the guys can get on the body work here at the shop, and we'll come in, we'll put the new wrap on it, and we'll make it look real sharp.
Justin's almost done with the custom exhaust on the Diesel Pro Mod. He's replacing the old steel pipe with a lighter, way cooler stainless pipe, all tigged up.
Now that we got our new stainless downpipe bolted up with our recirculation lines tied in, we're going to go ahead and replace this charge pipe. We're going to start from this nitrous plate all the way over to the plenum. This is a lot more than cosmetic. We're going to have a weight savings going from a steel tube to our now aluminum tube. And when it comes to racing, anywhere you can save weight is a big deal. So one of the key things with having a good weld is being comfortable while you're welding. That's why we come to the table. We're going to get a fresh pair of gloves, we're going to clean our wire, and then we're going to come back and drop some dimes. We're going to run the machine around 90 amps. One of the things with aluminum is that it's real thin and it absorbs the heat real fast. What we want to do is we're going to pulse with our foot pedal. So we're going to add some heat and back off some heat so that it has a cooling cycle in between so that we can add our wire, and that's how you get that dime effect versus a flat weld.
Edgar and the team, they can get right to body work.
As you can see, it's all chipped everywhere. The paint's ruined. So what we will have to do here is repair all these fiberglass cracks all the way around the body. Man, this thing is beat up, but it'll be looking right.
After we screw our cowl to our hood with fiberglass to make it all one piece. So now I'm gonna spray some black on it on the inside to make it all nice and clean. Either way, when they take it off, it looks really nice. All right, it's ready to be wrapped.
I got my guys finishing up the wrap. And adding new tinted window glass.
Well, I'm looking pretty and going fast.
And this Pro Mod will finally look as good as it runs. After a lot of hard work, a late night or two, we're here at Houston Motorsports Park to give the old Diesel family their car back.
We are excited, man.
Super, man. I cannot wait to see it.
What's up, fellas? What's happening, Bill?
What's up, Bill?
You got good reason to be. Your Pro Mod was running good, but it definitely wasn't looking good.
I know, man. We were just getting made fun of in the pits. But, you know, when you roll up after winning a race and it looks like that, it's just...
Like, did you really win at all?
Exactly, you know?
It's rough.
We kind of won.
Yeah, I mean, we did, but we didn't.
It's been a labor of love. You know, we put our hearts and soul and a lot of money in it.
And blood.
To get it, and blood. Yeah, if you don't get blood on it, it's not fixed right.
You ready to check it out?
Yeah, we're ready. Let's do it. We're so excited to see this thing.
Let's see it.
Yeah. Dude! Oh my gosh, bro! Oh my god! Did you see that?
That is
the same car, man?
Awesome. Awesome. Freaking big car. We got a race car.
Man, I love it, man.
Oh my god, dude.
That thing is perfect. That's beautiful, man.
It looks like a brand new car, huh?
This is what I envisioned. When we got this car, I told them, I want charcoal gray, black chrome.
It's very intimidating now.
That's what we needed. We need to make a statement. You got the Bel Air theme in there? Yeah. The color scheme's perfect. Oh, I know. Exactly what we wanted.
Freaking beautiful.
Right. You know, the old Rapid was definitely coming off anyway. I guess you guys were fast on the track because half of it was peeling off before we even got it.
The guys behind us didn't care for that too much.
Spider Wraps guys came over and peeled off the gouges, parts missing. Body shop guys did their thing, made it all nice and straight, filled in the holes.
Probably like 10 times more aerodynamic now too. Yeah, we don't have all the holes in the hood. Yeah, no. It's like what, I don't even know what to do with my hands.
You know, I make an exception this time on the cow hood, right?
Yeah,
On a race car, it's a little different. So it's all molded in now, so it's not
so clean
anywhere. You don't have big holes all in the front end.
Thank you.
Make it look good, right?
That helps us out a little bit, especially at high speed. You kind of want that secured on there.
While we got it up in the air, we pulled the wheels off, powder coated them, tied everything together. New glass in it, all tinted glass, so it just looks mean.
Those extra touches just take this car to the next level, Bill. Yeah, we love that.
And this has always been my dream, to put a Cummins in a 57 Chevrolet. To have that iconic car with a diesel in it that we can incorporate, our business, have fun with, and stay classy. I mean, it does have attitude to it.
It got a lot of attitude.
If people look at this car, they'll know it's a 57 Chevrolet.
When you pull up to the starting line, people are just going to already be nervous just by looking at this thing.
And they're going to know immediately that they're going to get second place that day.
This family's been working their butts off for quite some time, and I'm proud to say they have the full package now.
Oh my gosh. Check it out, man. It's perfect.
Awesome.
And the aluminum's a lot lighter, so any way we can save, it's perfect.
Justin is the man when it comes to something like this, and he got down on it.
Those pie cuts and those welds are just beautiful.
All stainless, 5-inch pipe. That's 15 inches of weld all the way around this, every pie cut. So there's 29 feet of weld.
That's crazy, man.
That's some time.
Yeah. That's a ton of work, but you see the results.
It's worth it.
For sure.
And he's got, a lot cleaner bends and radius, so the CFM from the turbo is going to flow way better. It's going to help us keep it nice and sealed and not have any boost leaks either. Yeah.
While Justin was building everything, he put a V-clamp right at the end so you can take that rod off.
It's brilliant. Definitely make life
smart tripping over it.
Beautiful. That's definitely it's an art piece.
It is.
Yeah, it is. We can't thank you enough. You and the guys knocked this out of the park.
Well, actually, you can thank me. You told me something when you dropped this off, right?
Yeah, I did.
There's a reason why we're at Houston Motorsports Park, right?
I kind of put 2 and 2 together.
A little drag strip, right over here,
I did say you could drive it, man.
All right, well, I'm ready. You ready? Your car ready?
She's always ready. Yes, sir. Let's do it.
A lot of people have been asking, where's Mr. Blue Dog? Man, he hit the dog. He's got his own bed, his own bedroom, his own toys. He's like a kid that came from nothing, graduated college, and now he's the CEO of his own company. Right, little buddy. Blue comes to the shop every once in a while now just to hang out. I'll bring him up here a couple of days, maybe a couple times a month, let him hang out. But for the most part, he hangs out by the pool on the swing out back. And when I get home, he just wants to hang out and cuddle. It's just like anything. They say that if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. Well, same with a dog. If you have room at your house, you'll never have a bad day at your house. Here over the last 5 or 6 years, it seems like when a shop dog does show up, he'll get attached to somebody. If you adopt these guys instead of shopping, they didn't ask you to put in the pound. They don't ask you to get overbred like that. If you can adopt one of these guys, man, your life will be so much better and they're full of joy.
As good as a diesel Pro Mod looks, a performance vehicle like this is measured in speed. And the Wells family is nice enough to let me make a run down the track with it.
Man, are you ready for this?
I'm born ready.
And I know you can drive. I'm just saying. This.
We're about to see, huh?
That's what I'm worried about. I was actually expecting him to be really kind of scary.
Did everybody explain to him this car goes straight? He's not supposed to do donuts, right?
Don't be all mad when time's quicker than yours.
Oh, okay. All right.
Let's check this thing out. Getting behind the wheel of a Pro Mod isn't just turning the key and hitting the gas. There's a lot of things that go in with that.
We're going to put it in first gear. You want to see about 900 degrees before you floor it. Then we're going to start creeping up in the throttle. And once I see about 10, you can mat it. Boom. And then once we see the trees start dropping, as the last light comes on, go ahead and let off the brake. Typically, you're perfect. Go when you're ready. All right, let's see this, man.
Come on now, Bill.
Oh, okay. Let's pull it on. All right. Come on, Bill. Come on, Bill. A little more. A little more.
I can definitely see the addiction in this. Already want to go again.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
Good job,
that
bro.
was awesome,
Awesome,
man.
What a pass.
Good
What do you
job,
think, man?
Good job.
That was awesome.
One way
How about that?
We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
We'll talk about it.
How'd it feel, bro?
Man, that was cool. I'm really, really impressed with the diesel engine doing what it did, man, for sure.
They're pretty fun, huh?
Definitely adrenaline rush, man, for sure.
Absolutely, man. We really appreciate everything you did for us on this car. It looks absolutely killer. It's insane.
I mean, it's perfect.
It really is.
So we can't thank the guys at Extensive enough for this. And
It's literally a dream come true.
it is. It is a dream for us, man.
You know, that's what it's all about for sure, right?
That's right, man. Family and going fast.
And looking good.
And looking good, man. Thanks to you. I appreciate it, bro.
Man, appreciate you guys.
All right.
Look what I got, Timmy.
Tim and John are almost done with the rear suspension on the 2020 Denali Dually.
So we have now is the front crossmember for this dually chassis. This is where the motor is going to sit. If we can connect the chassis to this front crossmember and connect the crossmember to the front core support, finally this frame will be complete, and then we can move on.
Now that we got the strong foundation, we can drop in that big old Duramax diesel. We've been at this thing for a couple of months already, and we still have to make room for the big old notch and those big old wheels. Finish the front suspension. You know, on an older truck, making a frame this big would be the hardest part. But on a new truck like this, we're really just getting started.
This is going to be a real tight fit.
Fitting a watermelon in an egg carton.